Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to a Thursday evening of our usual CAF update, our 115th. So nice to have everyone here. That means you're probably not at New York Comic Con. And as we got started off here, we've lost the master illustrator Kim Jung-gi, and unfortunately, I never got a chance to meet him. Saw him at shows several times, but always seemed too busy. And you always think you have a lot more time to get to meet people, at least get to at least tell them how much you appreciate their work, and I won't have that opportunity, and that's disappointing. I've read a lot of nice things online. John Pless had said some very nice things. He used to always have a booth across from Kim at San Diego Comic Con, and many other people obviously who have known him very well, and were just shocked to have someone so young be taken from us. So, but his it's the candle burning twice as bright for half as long. That's for sure. There will never be another one like him. And again, it's just a sad day, and it seems like a sad year for all of us in this hobby. I think we've lost a lot of incredible, talented people this past year alone, and that's it's very sobering to just kind of think about where we are as a hobby, and just I guess in our own lives. Kim was only 47 years old, and it definitely puts a lot of perspective on things. But New York Comic Con is out there right now, and Kim would have been there, and I'm sure he wants everybody to be having a good time if he were around. And I think I'm sure it's not easy for a lot of the people who are there today and throughout the weekend, but we'll all get through it. So just reading the stuff in the chat. Yep, he was off the charts as an artist without question. And Mr. Easy Go Lucky, I'm glad you got a chance to meet him, because like I say, I wish I would have as well. So I actually think tonight will be a show where we do get done early. Early meeting in under 2 hours, only because I don't have a ton of things to talk about. A few things, of course, and I guess I could start off with somebody had mentioned something was being said about stuff on the CGC board, so I kind of popped over there, and it was kind of in the same time frame of when that gentleman Tyler also started the Discord server, and I don't have the link for it. I know that Chuck Arnold has one. He could probably text me it, as would Chris. But there was some commentary about, like, how could the hobby be even as big as it is and really have no central place where people are talking about the hobby and whatnot. And I think one person had said that I've said that the CGC boards were toxic. I don't know. Have I ever said that the CGC boards were toxic? I think I've always felt that there's a few toxic personalities on the CGC boards, and I definitely don't go there very often. But I don't recall ever using the words that the CGC boards are toxic. So if I have, that's certainly not the way I would have phrased it. I think I've said that for me, even when 90 to 95% of the conversations are positive, it's that 5 to 10% of the conversations that aren't, or the personalities there, that are what turns me off more than anything. So if anybody thought, if I actually said those words, or if anybody got that impression, I never would have. Words in your mouth, says Marcus. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's what they said when I was reading it, or somebody who wrote it. But other people have put words into my mouth as well over there. So, but either way, it's what really prompted that. I think that one guy, Tyler, to start a Discord server, thinking that, hey, why don't we try to find a place that could catch on? Because, you've got all the Facebook groups, and you've got CDC, you've got CAF, and there really isn't any central thing. Of course, Chris Snorrick and Chuck Arnold had put together a Discord a while ago. So when I saw Tyler do that, and he posted it on the Comic Ardell, I'd let him know that he should get out there. Okay, Chris Snorrick will say it for me. That I let him know that there already was one, and I think they caused maybe double the membership on the Discord that day, so that's good. Ron, I still don't get Discord, even though I've gone to it. The only thing, and I'm sure if I had a primer, I think maybe it might help. The thing that always throws me off every time I go there is the newest conversations at the bottom. I mean, is there some reason for that? Why isn't it at the top? I always have to kind of start. Maybe it's starting me where I was at last, and then I can scroll down. I don't quite understand it, but I haven't had a lot of time to look at it either. Marcus is a self-promoter. There are no ads on it, as Chuck said. It's kind of member supported. And Michael Kellen says he's already spending enough time on calf and Comic Car Live, probably doesn't need a good forum to suck more time away. It's true, but at least as far as where the conversations are going, I mean, it would be nice to have one place versus all the disparate places that are out there. It'll probably never happen just because there's so many different places for people to hang out and whatnot. So, and calf does suck a lot of time. Chris Norrick says 102 members. That's good, right? My and Tariq says my kids use Discord and I don't. That's exactly what I said too. I said, my kids are on Discord all day, and I'm not. So I'll figure it out. But like Chuck said, it was a very just open-ended opportunity. Somebody I forget who it was, about 2 weeks ago, had emailed me saying, I'm in the. They didn't say where in Michigan, but they said they're in Michigan and they were hoping to find out if there were other get-togethers where like-minded collectors in the Michigan area could get together. And I actually directed them to the Discord, saying I know there's a channel there for get-togethers, and it wouldn't be a bad place to start a thread about that. And so I think the Discord in that regard could probably play a good good part in the hobby that CAF can't fulfill right now, and and maybe shouldn't. So that was Jason Ladwig. There you go. You're welcome, Jason. Yeah, I do remember that. So Tim Dury, I don't know if anybody can, I've been told you can't post links in the chat. Only I can. I don't know why that is, but if I could, I would. If Chuck can do it, cool. If not, I'll try to get a link in there. But I'll work it out. What part of Michigan was he in, Matt? Jason's right there. You can ask. Jason's right above you in the chat. So but yeah, so that was that kind of got things going, but it ended up being a positive. I didn't comment on the thread on CGC, but I was reading through it, and they were kind of right that they were wondering. They were like, why, when there are so many people here on CGC, are we not the hub of the hobby for conversation? And I think it came out just from them talking it through themselves that it was the toxic personalities of a few people that kind of lend itself to not being a place that you want to hang out in. So that's all. And that's, that's just how it goes. Okay, good. Chuck and Chris will take care of everybody who wants to get the link. Just go to either Chuck or Chris Norrick's CAF gallery, and they will take care of you. Ron, I'm never on there either. I mean, I'll be honest. I actually pop on there like once a month just to see if my name or if CAF's name is in any of the subjects. And then I move on, unless somebody tells me I should go check something out. So yeah, I don't use it too often either. But a lot of you in the chat do, and I mean, hey, we got to have a place to talk. I mean, and that's one thing that at least the CGC forum has. And like I say, 95% of the conversation there is positive. And and I enjoy it. I mean, they've got a New York Comic Con thread going out there right now, and a few other things, and so they have a lot of valuable information out there. So, anyways, enough of that. So I had an interesting incident happen in the last week that I could kind of relay, and I don't know if it's like it's not like I'll just kind of give you the summary of it. I had a collector who was posting art for sale on CAF who got a comment on one of his artworks that he didn't like, and he said, "How do I get rid of it?" And I looked, and I knew the person because they've been around for a while. In fact, they have an ID number on CAF under 200, so they've been on there since 2003, and they aren't premium. They were premium, I think, the last time maybe in 2014. So they said, "How can I delete the comment?" And I said, "Well, you can't delete it because only premium members can delete comments, but since you really just posted it a few hours ago, you might, you could just delete it and put it back on the site." And so they were like, "Cool, thanks." And so I was looking at their stuff, and I was like, he's breaking all the rules that I've written about and never really enforced. And since I felt like I could have a kind of a conversation with him, I said, "Hey, because in his titles he actually had the words for sale and a $ and a price and everything like that. So it was like a big Craigslist in the title. And when you add artwork to CAF, we literally say, don't put the words for sale, don't put a price sign, a pound sign, or euro in any of that stuff. Titles are not supposed to be for promotional purposes." And he said, "Okay." And I went back the next day, and what he had done was he had changed every word for sale to FS. And he changed every price that had a $ in front of it, took the $ off, put a K at the end. And, and to me, that was him trying to be funny, right? And so I emailed him back, and I I'll get into why I've been a little on edge all week. But so I was already in a bad mood. So I see that, and I go back, and I'm like, I mean, if you're trying to be funny, it wasn't very funny. Just titles aren't for self promotion. Just please remove it, and I'll be happy, and you'll be happy, and because I do that with some people, but usually only when something like that happens, where they ask me to look at something, and then I see their calf gallery is going against a rule like that, and again, he caught me at the wrong time of day. So, he said, well, how do I promote my stuff? And I said, well, if you're a premium, you could you'd put your stuff in the classifieds, but other than that, I can't really help you. Put stuff on calf with the right title and do your own self promotion on social media, and, but he came back with oh, so you're saying the only way I can do this is if I'm premium. And I said, no, you asked me, how would I do it? How should I do it? Or how could I do it? And I said, well, and so I was explaining to you how you could do it if you really wanted to. I did. It was kind of a can of whoop, but it was really unintentional. And he actually said, well, you know what? He didn't reply to that. And then a day went by, and last night, whole day goes by. I go back there last night, and the FSs and the dollar signs are still there. And I was like, son of a gun. I mean, and again, it's somebody who's a well-known collector too, but really, I did look through their calf, and they really only use calf. They have sold stuff on there. They have color, covers of artwork for their want list in their calf gallery, like many people do. But and I think it was part of the email thread. I had said, when he said, are you saying I had to be premium? I said, of course, that's not true. You've been a member for 20 years. The site's free. I said, and sometimes, and he said, and he'd also said, well, in the classifieds, I see the word for sale and prices in the title everywhere. And I just said, well, and I've said this all the time. I'll say it again right here to everybody that, when somebody's premium, I do tend to be a little bit more lenient on the rules, just because, the premium people are the ones who are helping us keep the site afloat for the people who aren't. And I basically said that, not saying it that I didn't say because you're not. I just said I'm a little more relaxed on the rules for people who are premium, because they're the ones who keep the site available and free for the people who don't want to support it. And so 24 hours goes by, nothing happens, and so they were still up there, and I ended up, I thought about editing them, which is just a real pain in the butt. I don't have abilities to edit other collectors' stuff, and so I just went in and I used the moderation tool to turn them off, which we would normally do if something was not work safe, because it's an easy. I just click 2 clicks and it's turned off, and they get an email that it was turned off. And he got upset and everything. Turn my, get rid of my calf gallery if you're going to lock my stuff up. And so I emailed him this morning and just said that your stuff isn't locked. You just have to, it's just turned off. That was the only mechanism I had to do it. And if you just change the titles, you can turn them back on. And I don't want to delete your calf gallery, so we'll see where that goes. Cause that was this morning. I haven't heard back from him since then. I mean, I know clearly he was mad, and, and that was, I wasn't trying to make him mad, even though I was in a bad mood. Oh, and I see I've gotten a Discord link from Chuck. Oh, well, I'll try to figure out how to copy it over for everybody tonight. Or, at least I could put it into the YouTube description. So anyway, those things happen, and I hate having to do it. I hate having to have those conversations. But I think that, with the direction that I think, CAF is kind of the trajectory it's on. I think we have to kind of be more even, keeled on those sorts of things with people, and not allow them. That guy had 20 years of experience, kind of doing whatever he wants, and just not treating CAF, properly. And I get it. We became the Craigslist of the hobby in many different ways, but we just have to. I think going forward, part of the things I'll be looking for is better ways to kind of keep tabs on those sorts of things, so we can keep CAF focused and get people to buy and sell, in the proper channels, and do the right things. And if if people who don't want to support the site don't want to, participate like that, then, then they could be like this guy and just, but just follow the rules. Do that little bit that I asked for to keep things sane for all of us. We live in a society. That's right, Ron. And Tyler, I agree. It's not asking too much, but the thing in the past is I've always kind of been a pushover, and I would just be like, "Oh, you're right," and I would just walk off. And and that's why CAF has kind of gotten to where it has with certain people. And again, I hope that guy doesn't. Hope he lets he lets it pass. He doesn't ask me to delete his stuff. I haven't gone back. Maybe he changed the titles and everything's hunky dory right now, right? Yeah, yeah, I know Black Viper. I know that that's probably in some reference to Mike, and we've talked about that before. Mike, the dealers that I work with have to get their inventory into their sites in order to track it. And with Mike, and I'm just going to use this as an example, if that's who you're talking about, he does a Dueling Dealers episode, and he sells 10 of the 20 items, but those items aren't actually, most of them aren't paid for yet. So he puts them into his system, and he sets them into the system as on hold and active. And in theory, he could make them on hold and not active, but he puts them in there and then puts them in as on hold. So that's his way of getting into his accounting system that we have built for him, and he puts that stuff in after the site. So some of that, no, it's Sonic Dan. I'm not sure who Sonic Dan is. Is that I don't know. I'll have to look in to see who that is. I'm not sure who Sonic Dan is, but but at any rate, just back to the other guy. I hope he doesn't leave. I don't want him to leave. I told him that wasn't my intent. I just want. At the end of the day, I'd love his support, right? Why wouldn't he? I look at it and I think, because what do I want to say to somebody like that? I want to say, you just listed $50,000 piece, of artwork that if you were to sell on Heritage, it would cost you $10,000. If you were to sell it on Comic Link, it would cost you $5,000. On a few other auction houses, it would cost you around $8,000. And yet you're going to list it here for free, bastardize my titles, and not support the site in the last 8 years with a premium membership, so you can sell $50,000 worth of art. And that's fair. That's not fair at the end of the day. But again, in the past, I've always been a pushover. And so now I'm like, well, that's not really fair. We have to, you should be taking care of me if I'm taking care of you. And that's all. So there you have it. That was my week in a nutshell, other than the fact that, honestly, for the last 4 months, probably 5 months, or maybe even 6, it's been going on since before Hero. So this would have been, it probably started around April or May. There's like something flaky was going on our web server, and I couldn't track it down. It would happen only like once a month, and it was always happening like after I rebooted it too, like 3 days after. Usually when the server's like its best, right after it gets rebooted, everything's happy and screaming along, and a month after a reboot is when it might slow down. Well, we would have these little issues like 3 days later, and couldn't figure it out. And throughout the summer, I was watching these other issues crop up on the server. And again, I don't even want to be dealing with the server. I wish I had somebody to do that for me, but sat around watching this stuff going on. And am I getting bigger? I'm leaning into the camera probably, or sitting up straighter. I don't know. So anyway, throughout the summer, this issue was cropping up, and I couldn't track it down. But it was always the same thing. It was this consistent issue with memory on the server and some drive space issues. Next one's thank you very much, Ron. I got it right here. So things got to a point where I started calling Dell, because my server is still under kind of a warranty contract, and I was getting some feedback from them, and was looking into doing some other things. And then literally on Monday, I started kind of drilling down to where I figured out what the problem was, and but I didn't know how to fix it. And all signs pointed to these certain things. And I'm not going to talk about them because I don't want anybody to know what how things are configured. But it took until today. I was like on the verge of tears the last couple of days. But this morning, I called Dell again. We talked it out, and they just gave me enough confidence, I guess, to look into a couple different things, and then it's like the solution was right in front of me, and I had it fixed within like 5 minutes, and so it was amazing. But literally, it's been eating at me for the last 4 months, because we're trying to do all this a lot of new programming, Maureen and I, and yet we've been dogged by this issue that was slowing things down. Yeah, that'll be for later, Daniel. But the good thing is as far as I can see, fingers crossed, everything I did today fixed the whole issue that we were having. And now I just have to kind of be nice to watch it go for a week without having any of these telltale signs of what was going on. So Uh, but yeah, so that's why when I got that email from the guy, I was just I was at the lowest of the low as I could possibly be, not in the right mood to answer a support call from somebody who was offended that. And I think somebody I think the comment, because I looked at it, was said, "Wow, you're asking a lot of money for that piece of art," and that was the one he wanted to delete. So it was just all bad timing, I think. And but I'm over it, and I hope he's over it, and we can all get along. So that's all I want. Was it a memory leak? No, it actually wasn't a memory leak, Chris. Uh, I mean, I could tell you it had to do with shadow copies on the server, Microsoft restore points, and going overboard without any restriction. Let's just say that, but I didn't know that because it was logging them to a folder that I couldn't see because it was a systems file. And so when was trying to track down the issues, I couldn't see it. And but I knew what the symptoms were, but I didn't know exactly what it was. So once I was able to tell the shadow copies to stop copying themselves repeatedly for the last 3 years almost, we resolved the problem. It was just that the shadow copies got really large because I had started doing a different backup software back in April, and the shadow copies grew to going from like 200 meg a day to about 1.9 gig a day, and they weren't deleting. So it was causing all kinds of problems. Let's see. Hey, Bill, is there a way to unlock extra feature gallery slots? Like you occasionally see people. No, there's 12 is the max, Mike. People who aren't premium only have a max of 6, and premium members get a max of 12. So, yep. Wish it was 15 to 18. Well, I can tell you, I can tell you at some point, we'll definitely have some thoughts on things related to your galleries. I mean, I've been having several conversations of late with some design companies and just getting some thoughts back and forth. I know I've talked with several of you in the chat as well about redesigns and things. So there's a lot of things I'm kind of like working through right now as well on the redesign front, mobile friendly side of things. And so, but my emphasis in all these things is actually everybody's gallery, giving you more control over how your gallery looks, from a landing page standpoint. And because so many people nowadays are using their own HTML and giving themselves their own headers and things and making it more personal. And so we want it to allow you to have a little bit more creativity on how your gallery looks, at least as far as a landing page and things. Not that it's going to be dramatically crazy, but I think that a little bit of personalization beyond your avatar is, would be a good thing. So it's something that as we're working through our thoughts on what we want to do with redesign, those things are definitely a part of it. And so, a number of featured pieces could play in there. I mean, so much depends on, how the redesign concepts kind of go out. Marcus says, yeah, some people do that, but Ron, thank you I got to thank Ron for the $10 for the few Cokes. I appreciate it. That's very nice of you. And Daniel Evan, I'll have something to drink after the show probably, because it has been a long day, with that long support issue I've had. But yeah, we'll definitely look into those sorts of things. You guys, shadow copies being blue lines. No, they're not, Jason. So, and Adam Law just sent me a premium payment. Adam, thank you so much. I've got another. I can tell you, I've got another. Reading today from Adam Law. He did another one. I didn't get a chance to film one this weekend as much as I wanted to. So, but yeah, all right. So I think that probably about covers all the the funny ticky-tacky stuff from this week. But honestly, a huge relief to have finally tracked that one issue down. It was when we would run into, because I know like Larry has sent me a few emails where he's, if anybody was on the site yesterday between, it was like 5:40 to 6:10. I mean, it didn't last that long. It was about a 15-minute time period where the CAF was down, and but every site was down. All the dealers were down too, and of course I was at the grocery store when it went down. So I had to just race through the checkout and race home, and it was it was never fun. That was the thing. When that happened, that was why I said I'm going to figure this thing out until I can't get it from this computer. And that was why. So yesterday I just really spent a lot of effort on it, and then followed up with Dell this morning, and we finally resolved everything. But yeah, Tim, Tim, you had texted me that question about Baltimore right at the same time. The site went down within a minute of you texting me. I think you texted me first. The site went down. I was just about to get into a checkout line at my local Publix, and I couldn't have raced out of there fast enough. And but yeah, that should be behind us. That should be behind us forever now. Plus, I've got a new hard drive on the way because I bought one. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna throw in another. When I was thinking I had a drive space issue and all these other things, I actually bought another hard drive to put into this machine. So, I was thinking about needing to potentially buy a new server at the beginning of the year, and I'm glad I don't have to because my last server that I bought for the one that we're using today, it's about 3 years old. When I bought it, it was about $5,000. That same machine today is almost $10,000 from Dell. So that just shows you how much inflation and parts and all those things have been. I should have had the mic a little bit closer. I bet you that sounds a little bit better now. Oh, Matt, you saw it too. Yeah, it was. I mean, I knew it right away because I have an alert service that pings me when, and I have it tracking a few sites: CAF, Albert, Mike, and then I have a couple client sites too. So outside of Comic Art, and so I have them monitor those sites. So I get a text message every 2 minutes when a site isn't responding properly. So I get like 6 texts all at the same time when it's down. It sounds like a gun going off in my pocket when when it happens. But that was what it was, and it shouldn't happen again, and everything is good. So hey, I've got a package here that I think I got the day after our last show, and it's from Anthony, care of Bobby Barron, of course. And I don't know, who knows what it is. He's got ha-has written all around it, and it's not in the shape of a piece of art. So we will see what Anthony has sent me. It's the only thing I got. I think I've got something else on the way, but it's not art either. Man, how did he? At any rate, so my house is still under contract. The plan of the moment is that I'm going to be flying home next Friday, and that I will pick up a U-Haul on my way home from the airport, pack it on Saturday, and then drive it back on Sunday and Monday. So, and that doesn't coincide or overlap with any shows or things that we have going on. So, I may be U-Hauling it again very, very soon. Some of you will appreciate this. Oh boy. Oh, I shouldn't have dumped those out. What did he send me? He sent me a pack of picture hangers. There you go. That is Anthony's sense of humor. And yes, ha ha ha. All right. Well, there you go. Thank you, Anthony. And will it be my last visit to Ohio? No, it will not. My mom still lives in Ohio, so she has no intention of moving down to Florida with me. So I've told her that I intend to always, probably do about 3 trips up there a year around the holidays and everything. So yes, thank you, Anthony, for those wonderful wall hangers. Yeah, I mean, Maureen asked me about that too. She said, when are you going to hang art? And I think I've decided that I am not. I don't really like the configuration. I don't like having the window behind me. So more than likely, I'm going to end up turning and being on the wall over here, where I've got a much larger wall to hang artwork. And but the one thing that's still in Ohio is my proper desk. This desk that I've been using is actually our old dining table. So hopefully I will, as soon as I get the table, I'll rearrange things here in the office. I'm being shamed for not hanging art. Maureen is watching. Thank you, Maureen. Yeah, you appreciate Anthony's sense of humor. Maureen she was telling me the other night too. I don't know what show it was. She said, you've got to get something on the wall. And I told her all of my framed art is still in the closet. I mean, if she's probably working right now in my office, and if she looks to the left, she will see all of my framed art is in the closet, because that was where I put it when they were showing the house. I didn't want to leave anything on the wall. So Skulls on the Walls, the sequel. Yes, Tyler T. So anyway, nice to see you, Maureen. I'm glad you're watching the show tonight. But but yeah, that is my plan. I'm hoping to make that trip. I'll be back here the Monday after next, so whatever that is, the 19th, 17th, something like that. And sometime that week, we will start hanging a few pieces of art on the wall, and everybody will be able to rejoice and be happy that I've actually got some art. I want some art on the walls too, so we'll get it going there. Billy wall hangers. We can hang that sign right outside the door here. I've got the bar right across the other side of this space here in the back is my outdoor bar and grill. So that actually would be a decent sign to hang out there. Where's the signed Anthony trading card? Well, it's still right here. Look at that. I can't read he always says KCK. I don't know what the heck what is KCK, but that's, or I don't know, KCKR. I can't read what the hell he writes on there, but everybody else, if you've gotten his cards, you see it too. So there's a card. And then of course I would hang it right next to Mr. Berkey's dancing in episode 8. The first time he danced was in episode 8. We'll do an unveiling show, says Chris. And you know what? Doggone it, Chris. I did not prep your piece. Oh my gosh. I hate to, now that I knew I was forgetting something. Chris Lutz has done a new segment that I really need to play here. And maybe while I've got this next segment playing, I can get it. So, because it's on a different computer. But so I've got a couple videos for you. Well, I've really only got one video for you, but now I might have two if I can get Chris's. So, like I mentioned, Adam Law, new premium member, Adam Law. I just got the email. I have to flag your account now, Adam, as being premium, since I do that manually still to this day. Adam has made another dramatic reading. And Maureen, I don't know if you saw Adam's last dramatic reading, but it is out on the channel. So this might be your first time getting to see one. And for those of you who have not seen a dramatic reading before, they're very special. I think everybody should try one. Even if you don't share it with us here on the channel, everyone should at least give it a go one time. Find a piece of art that is conducive to a dramatic reading and put one together. And if you have, and I'm going to show you this one now, but if you haven't seen Adam's first one, it is on the channel, and I added it on Friday last week. So if you check out just maybe the 4th or 5th upload on the channel, you'll see Adam's original dramatic reading, which was a Kirby Silver Star page. But today he's doing a dramatic reading from a Mighty Thor page with Ron Friend's art on it. So let me go ahead and play that. And while that's playing, I'm going to see if I can find Chris Lutz's clip here and get that out here for everybody as well. So, all right, here we go. Dramatic reading from Adam Law, Part 2.
Mighty Thor 419, drawn by Ron Friends and inked by Joe Sinat. This is the kind of page I absolutely love. Really, one of the reasons is, one, it's kind of a philosophically interesting page. It is relevant, and it's a standalone story in the end. Even though it's part of a larger piece by itself, it says what it needs to say, and it goes full circle from a start to an end. So in order to demonstrate that, I'm going to do a dramatic reading of this page. Within instants, they discover the crude fundamentals of cultivation, and the first rough tools are crafted. Technology rapidly advances with each passing second. Cities are raised. Culture flourishes. But long before the Kalashi can achieve their true potential, they succumb to internal pressures and petty jealousies. The hostilities increase geometrically until the devastation is near total. Will the Kalashi rise anew? Time alone can answer. But for now, the Watcher must move on. Other phenomena command his attention.
I like that. Innocent saying the cat in the background adds so much atmosphere. I agree. I completely agree. That was my thought as well. Kelly Coons says, I have no idea what that is. Yes, exactly. But But no, I loved it. I love it. And I got to turn this thing off because it's bothering me. There, look at that. Changed the whole perspective on the room. I didn't know why that color was making everything a mess. Now I look like me. So yeah, nice one. Bold, fearless. This is Jay Murray. Gwen was watching it as well. Good. Gwen, Maureen, you have to go back and look at the thing that I added from Adam back on Friday. That was a little bit longer, but equally cool. And I think we have to try one as a family. We should find one to do, and not a Sonic the Hedgehog or whatever, power pack. I mean, we got to find something that is worthy of all 5 of us adding some clips to. The cat watches the watcher. Yes. All right. So yeah, it's good. It's a new edition. It's definitely a new edition. Now, I did actually find the video here. Let me see if I can cue it up, because I'm not going to be able to do this now. Chris approached me about, said, hey, I got a good idea. And I really think it is a great idea, because it's something that I'd kind of thought about doing some of these, something similar, but not the way Chris did it. Chris really, did a much better job at it than I probably ever would have thought of. But it was kind of like reading material as a collector that he's looking at, interesting, books that, also have, reproductions of original art in them and those sorts of things. So, I'm going to go ahead and show this. I think it was maybe a five minute clip here. It's not really the way, that we should do a better job of this. And what I'll probably do is find a way to highlight the books that he's picked here. But it's essentially a video clip on reading material and art material that, in book format that, he felt was really relevant to us as collectors based on the things that he's interested in reading and seeing. And I thought it was really, and he just did a really great job on this. Chris, you should just be like a regular and do one of these like once a month or something. But, because I thought about doing these on a lot of the books that I've collected, older books that were either, things that had art for sale in them, or were gallery retrospective things that had a lot of comic art in them, or even old profiles and history catalogs, right? I mean, things, that are out there that you can still buy on eBay and whatnot, but just to kind of put them out there in a video format to reference them. And that's not exactly what Chris did here, but let me see if I can get this thing to play the way we will need it. Where are you? Like this. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and share this screen.
Hi, I'm Chris Lutz.
And pull that back. And let's see. Sorry, it's a little bit different than I would normally do a video, but I got to do it this way. Here we go. So I'm going to kind of step back from this while you get to hear Chris's, covering the books that he wanted to speak about.
Hi, I'm Chris Lutz. This is the Art Collector's Bookshelf. It's a sad day for most of us on CAF when we realize we can't buy everything. Maybe prices of our favorite artists have skyrocketed in the last few years. Maybe they've gone all digital and there's no originals to buy at all. Or maybe they don't sell their work. Luckily, we're living in a golden age of artist editions, artifact editions, gallery editions, where publishers are starting to treat the medium like an art form instead of just a commodity. These books focus on reproduction and offering a glimpse behind the scenes of some of our favorite comics. Most of us are probably familiar with the beautiful artist edition format that's created by Scott Dunbier for IDW. So with that in mind, I thought I'd focus on some of my other favorite books on the bookshelf that either beautifully reproduce some original artwork as extras in the back of the book, or focus on the process of making comics and offer a really amazing glimpse behind the scenes of some of my favorite comics. So we'll start with this Earth X Graffiti Designs hardcover that I thought I'd highlight because the last 2 weeks we've seen the John Paul Leon Winterman Artist Edition start to ship out to a lot of very excited collectors. And this is another book that I think is a must-have if you're a fan of JPL's artwork. This reproduces the entire Earth X graphic novel, oversized format, beautiful stark black and white, which I think is the perfect way to view Jean-Paul Leon's beautiful work. You can see the big oversized format really lets these double page spreads shine. You can really see the beautiful line work that we have Bill Reinhold inking over JPL for this book, but just a gorgeous reprint of the material. And then of course at the back we have a ton of character designs by Alex Ross and promotional pieces by Bill Reinhold and JPL for the book. So this one's currently out of print, but pretty easy to track down on something like eBay, which is where I got mine. So keep an eye out for that, because like I said, I must have if you're a fan of JPL's artwork. And we'll move on to another Marvel format that I like quite a bit. This is from Marvel's new Gallery Edition line of hardcovers. So you can see these are no dust jacket, oversized, almost slightly bigger than European album-sized hardcover reprints of a lot of famous storylines, including Wolverine Weapon X, which is one of the more recent ones. But I want to talk about this X-Men by Roy Thomas and Neil Adams. Obviously, we lost Neil Adams recently, and then Tom Palmer back to back. And this is just a really beautiful, nice hardcover reproduction of their X-Men stories. You get to really admire Tom Palmer's beautiful inks and Neil Adams' crazy, amazing dynamic layouts and a nice big oversized format. I don't see these on the shelves at comic stores very often. In fact, I didn't even know that this one existed until right when Neil Adams passed, unfortunately. And even in a place like Pittsburgh, where I am, has an embarrassment of riches when it comes to comic book stores. A lot of stores are just not stocking these. They're a little pricier, $40, an oversized format. So I think they're just a little burned out on a lot of the reprint materials. So ask for these at your local comic shop or try to track it down, because at the back, they also reprint a lot of beautiful original pages. And things like color guides from Neil Adams, alternate covers, and a nice big oversized format. Same goes for Weapon X, which, along with a beautiful reproduction of the comic that you can read, we have actually quite a few nice scans of original pages at the back. And moving on, we'll talk about, this is a nice IDW hardcover of The Rocketeer, Cargo of Doom by Mark Waid and Chris Samnee. And again, we've got obviously a beautiful reproduction of the story, lovingly written by Mark Waid, a tribute to Dave Stevens, beautifully drawn by Chris Samnee. But IDW is always great about including extras in the back of these hardcovers, and this one in particular has the entire pencil layouts by Chris Samnee for the entire miniseries. And Samnee's process, he does on one 8.5 by 11 page, 2 layouts per page, very detailed layouts that basically serve as the final pencils, because he then blows it up, prints it out onto a 11 by 17 board and then inks straight over these. So you get what amounts to the finished pencils for the entire book reprinted at the back of this hardcover. This one I definitely still see around, super affordable price, and still available if you're a fan of Chris Samnee, a great companion to that beautiful artist edition that IDW put out. And so that's kind of on the process side. We'll also talk about another new book, Pulp, the Process Edition by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. This is the entire making of the Pulp graphic novel, starting from the very beginning of the process with ideas jotted down on notebook paper by Ed Brubaker. And this book is just an incredible view behind the scenes, the making of a graphic novel. We move into Ed Brubaker's script printed on one side and Sean Phillips's digital pencils printed on the other for the entire book. So you can see, here we have thumbnails by Sean Phillips. And you can read the page, how Ed Brubaker describes it, and then see how Sean Phillips translates it into visual storytelling. Really beautiful. This is an oversized book, bigger than the graphic novel was printed originally. And then we move on to some of the inked pages where Sean talks about his tools, a little bit about his process with lettering and inking. Then we get to see an example of the inked pages, a little bit about the color process behind the book, and then we get the entire story reprinted in the hardcover as well. So you can go flip back and forth and see the final product versus how it was at the script stage and the pencil stage. So this is a brand new one. I think definitely one you'll find at the shelves in your local comic shop, but one that I probably wouldn't have purchased automatically without really seeing it in person and seeing how detailed and thorough it was. Just a beautiful glimpse behind the process. And we'll talk about Queen of the Ring. This is a recent Fantagraphics publication of wrestling drawings by Jaime Hernandez. So this is another book that just places an emphasis on beautiful reproduction of Jaime's original drawings. These are personal drawings he's done since 1980 of female wrestlers, which for my money is one of his best subjects that he tackles in his comics. My favorite Jaime story is Whoa Nelly, which is just a really fun wrestling comic. So you get to see color, pencil texture, where he's coloring these. You can see where he's inking with marker, where he's maybe inking with some brush. Lettering, where he's recreating magazine spreads from fake magazines. Really cool, really beautiful reproduction of all of these drawings in a really affordable package, only $24.99. This is a recent one you could probably find at most Barnes and Nobles or local comic shops. So that's a great one, especially if you love Jaime and Love and Rockets. And then we'll talk about this big boy. I'm a huge Frank Robbins fan, and while I have a lot of Frank Robbins originals in my collection, can you ever have too many? Especially in this big, huge 11 by 17 format. So this is Johnny Hazard's Sundays, starting from the very first Sunday pages, 1944, and this goes through the first 3 years. And you can see right off the bat, this book's a winner because they start off with a big, huge reproduction of a Frank Robbins original promotional piece of Johnny Hazard. And we have quite a few originals, some biographical material. We got a foreword by the great Howard Chaykin, some very cool photos of Frank Robbins. If you're a Frank Robbins fan, you probably know not a whole lot of biographical information out there on him. So really cool to have that included here. But what we're really here for are the really nice reproductions of Johnny Hazard's Sunday originals. We have more promotional material reprinted. And then we have some great reprints of material he did at Marvel and DC, some Invaders pieces, some original Invaders pages, Captain America pages, lots of great stuff. And then we move on to really gorgeous, huge reproductions of the Sunday pages. Hazard is one of my favorite comic strips, really amazing adventure strip. It's fun to read. Great cartooning, and this book really does the strip justice in my opinion. So if you're a comic strip fan, you're just comic strip curious, this is a great book. again, another one I wanted to highlight because you're probably not going to see it on your local comic shop. So definitely look for it online or ask your comic shop to order it for you. It's by Hermes Press. It's a little expensive, but it's huge. Lots of great original art reprinted in it to go along with the comic strips. And the last thing I'll touch on, this was a bit of an extra one. This is a book that I got on eBay, and I have no idea where it came from. The only identifying publication on it is this little logo by a design company that printed it. But other than that, I can't find any information on it. This is the complete pencil layouts for Batman Year One by David Mazzucchelli. And it feels older, printed before the recent Absolute Batman Year One books. So I'm not really sure who put this together, but they obviously put a lot of thought behind the design. Reproducing some original promotional pieces, little blow-ups of some of the comic pages and covers. And then inside we just have tons of gorgeous pencil prelims for the entire Batman Year One story. So as an art collector, these are the types of books I like to have on my bookshelf, especially for something like, obviously Batman Year One pages have never come out on the market. And even to get a Mazzucchelli original now costs a ton of money. But having a book like this allows me to admire the original artwork in a different format than the printed comic and have him represented in my collection, even if I can't have a Batman Year One page on the wall. And that goes with all these books here. So I invite other collectors to share some of their favorite art books they have in their collections. If it's a favorite artist edition you feel like everybody overlooks, or maybe some hidden gems like this crazy eBay find, or a new format like this Marvel Gallery edition. I think this could be a fun new segment. The Art Collector's Bookshelf. Thanks very much for watching.
And there you have it, the Art Collector's Bookshelf. I love that. I love it, Chris. That was fantastic. It really was. And I wish I had prepped a little bit for that with a proper introduction, but next time for sure. I'm sorry that I didn't do that, but I kept forgetting about it. Again, all the other things I had going on the last couple of weeks. But yes, everybody, I knew we're going to enjoy that. And one thing, I would say is, on the One Piece, there was the book by Hermes Press. Hermes Press puts out a lot of great art books, but if you're not familiar with them, I don't even know if probably they should be easy to Google. Hermes Press. Hermes Press is actually owned by Dan Herman, who is a long time art collector and has been at the publishing side of things for a very long time. Yeah, I know he used to set up at San Diego. Brian Peck was usually helping him out. I'm not quite sure. Let's see. Is this where it is? Oh yeah, that's right. He moved over to Shopify. That's true. I give you a link to it because they put together a lot of fantastic art books. I mean, Dan is just a huge fan of the medium, and he's done a lot of reproduction stuff, and he's put together a really good library of things. I've known him for a long time. He helped publish Infected by Art when we got started. He did books 2 through 4, or maybe 5. No, I think it was 4. So he helped me out there. But yeah, check out Hermes Press if you're not familiar with their products, because they have a very great lineup of things that they offer to everybody. And I did get that link to the Discord too. So why don't I go ahead and share that for those of you who aren't familiar with it. Yeah, let's see, let me put that in there. There you go. Let's see, what did Chris say about the Hermes book? Yeah, the Hazard book really, it's a labor of love. Yeah, I mean, everything that Dan does, that he puts his time into and his company's time into. I mean, his family works for him. His son and daughter help do sales and do a lot of the design work for the books that they put together. So, again, Dan's somebody I've always thought about seeing if I can get him on the show, and I should shoot him an email. I haven't talked to him since the last book we did together. So that's probably been almost 6 years, but a really good guy. And he's somebody that the hobby should know more about, because he was a person who early on, I mean, if you were in the Comic Art L in the early 2000s, like I was, I mean, Dan, he was semi-regular there. So you hear his name, he posted fairly regularly, but I think when he got really caught up in the book publishing world, he didn't talk, as much in social circles, but he was still very focused as an art collector. And while I got to see some of the pieces, I went to his offices a few times, but I know that he had an incredible collection, at least back in around 2010, 2012 still. So yeah, I'll look him up. Maybe I can get him on the show. That would be fun. Make a note of that. Dan Herman, somebody I haven't thought about in a very long time. All right, let's keep this thing rolling. Let's go take a look at the schedule real quick. And this is the part that Maureen hates the most because it's just going to cover me up, but I'll be fast on here. Of course, I had Tony Marine on the other day. I'm going to have Ali Banaka on next Tuesday. We've got, let's see, Andy and Veronica. Now, you know what? I actually updated this. This is not the one that I wanted to show you guys. Let me see here. I know I updated this because I have one new person to talk about. Where was that? Why I'm not even seeing it now. Well, I guess I'll just kind of gloss it over. But on like I say, next week I'll have Lee Banak on. I don't have anybody scheduled for the 18th yet, but on the 25th I will have Wolvie fan. His name is Rob. I know Jay. A few people know him. James knows him fairly well. But if you check out Wolvie Fan's calf gallery, I wish I had his picture that he sent me, because he sent me his picture the other day so I could build the thumbnail for it, and everybody's going to get a good kick out of that. But I can't wait to have him on, because he's kind of taken the site by storm as far as being a Wolverine collector. I think there's a lot of people who admire what he has in his calf gallery. He's a big cover collector and X-Men fan. So Wolvie fan, I'm sorry, will be on the show on the, again, what was it? I'm highlighting the wrong slides here. On the 25th, Andy and Veronica Fish on the 8th, right before the next Comic Art Live, the Ha preview, Bob McLeod, the Ha recap. I know I'm going to do a Hakes preview. I think Hakes is having their auction. Hakes has their next auction on the Monday and Tuesday prior to the next signature auction from Heritage. Which is like, the week, all of that is the week after Comic Art Live. So that's a lot of, we're never going to get a break as buyers, are we? I mean, everything is stacked up, but so I know I've got a Hakes preview kind of in there somewhere. And so I'm not quite sure. I was emailing with them today about the date for their preview. So hopefully I'll probably will iron that out with them tomorrow. But I should show you this slide, because again, this one's for the sales stuff. I do have one new thing to talk about here that, and the things to be mindful of is that this Saturday we'll have Bart Sears on at 2 p.m. and we've got, I believe, 32 artworks to show. We're gonna have there's gonna be a Justice League Europe cover recreation that he's got, and 2 commission style pieces, and the rest is either prelims or published artwork. So a pretty big variety of artwork from Bart that I think people will enjoy to see. Prices are all over the range of probably like 300 and up. I haven't gotten scans of the JLE cover yet, and we haven't talked about prices on those, so I can't even hazard a guess. I did get the art from Simon today, Got Superpowers, who reps Mike Allred, and so we've got Mike and Laura on the show next Monday. And the art is absolutely going to blow everybody away. I hope you're not tapped out by the time New York Comic Con is over, because there is an amazing amount of incredible pieces in here. And I could show them to you, but I'm not. But what I will do is I'll tell you the characters in all of them, because you'll probably end up knowing what some of the artworks are. But there's an Archie meets Batman cover. Several Batman audio adventures covers are part of this art drop. There's a cover with Blondie on it, a Deadpool, pair of Deadpool covers, Dick Tracy, several covers from that, Guardians of the Galaxy, a Madman, several Madman pieces, whether they're covers or different pieces, a Golden Age cover, a couple Superman covers, and then some really incredible Upper Deck card art that even I want one of those. And then a complete story of something that is probably not what anybody would expect. So the Allred show is going to be very, very great. I can't, I mean, he's a great guy anyway, but and I've never met Laura, but I'm going to get to talk with her on Monday too. So that's going to be a good show. The new show that I've added on here is a amateur dueling dealer show between Nick Barucci and Jordan Joannou. And it's called the No Holds Barred rematch between the Italian Dynamite and the Hawaiian Punch. So that'll be fun. That's on Monday, the 17th at 9 p.m. Then all the rest, I think you're already all familiar with. I'll be at the Baltimore Hero Auction on Saturday, October 29th, helping Scott Doonbeer with that. There'll be a Mike Vosberg show on the 5th of November. Eric Donovan art sale show on the 7th of November as well. That's a Monday. Comic Art Live will be that weekend, the 12th and 13th. And then we'll have that Cowan Sienkiewicz show on December 3rd. And I'll have Howard Chaykin back on December 10th. So busy schedule of things going on. And sorry, I wasn't able to watch any of the chat there while we got all that stuff going on. But lots of interesting stuff. Missed the chance for Hawaiian Heat. This is Samuel. Jordan always has a good idea. Yeah, and okay, back to Wolfie fan. I should have Rabbit. Yeah, they should. They should, really, Scott. You're absolutely right. But James Siegel fan, exactly. Yeah, they work together on a few things, I think. But at any rate, I wish I had his picture because it really is funny. I'll show it off. I'll set a preview for the show sometime this week so you can see what he looks like. He's a fellow Floridian too. He's over towards Miami though. I guess his daughter lives in Orlando, so I'm sure he and I are going to hook up at some point down here. Is there a Baltimore Comic Art fans meetup? Chuck, I do not know. I've been asked that. Tim Guerrero was asking me about that yesterday when the server went down. We were trying to arrange things. I've got something going on with Nick Barucci on Friday night, and that could be something. But Nick and I, I don't know if we're going to keep that, more limited or a little more open ended. We haven't talked about it, Nick and I, but we probably should, because on Saturday, I know Saturday's the auction. The auction's at 5. That's during the con. It's at the con where it happens. And the Ringo Awards happen Saturday night. So I don't think Saturday night is probably, the best night to do a get-together. Friday night is probably better just because it fits in. So whether that's a dinner or it's after dinner, Larry had talked about potentially trying to organize something, but I really haven't talked to him much since then. And I know that Larry is at New York Comic Con. Why? Because I got a call from Jason D'Ambrosia over Facebook, and he FaceTime with me, and we were watching. And he showed me all the people he was sitting around the table with, like Khalil and Dan Poddick, and Fish was there, and it was like a party. But he wanted to let me know that I was missing out on it. So, but Larry was there too. So, and Jeff Moy will be at his table at Baltimore as well. So it's going to be a party, whether or not we have any formal get-togethers afterwards, I don't know, but I will let everybody know if I can arrange something. Larry talked about trying to get a room at the Hyatt to hang out Friday evening. Well, I mean, I like I said, I haven't talked to Larry. It was about 2.5 weeks ago when Larry and I first started texting about it, and we couldn't settle on something together. Only because I'm really kind of along for the ride. Anybody that it's not a city I've ever been to. I don't really know what to do there. And so I'm totally open to being told where to go. I just know that I'm going to do something with Mr. Barucci on Friday evening with a few other people. So, if we'll see how that evolves, but we'll definitely hook up somewhere, at least at the show floor. What else? I've got a few other things. I actually did get several, not several. I got a few photos today from New York Comic Con that I think people might enjoy. I can show those off really quickly here. Where was that? Because I was texting with Anthony and Mike and also Mark Hay today while they were at the show, just seeing how things were going and if they were selling any artwork and what their general thoughts were. But I think we'll probably put that into more of a show report once it's all over. But here, let me switch this thing here and show it off. So there's Anthony's art booth. He's always by the ladies' room. I don't know how he works that out, but that's where he's at. And he's right across the table from where he's got all his comics set up too. Probably makes it easier for him. Another shot. I guess maybe he has 3 booths. That's kind of weird. I know he always does these scattered layouts at New York Comic Con. I don't know why. Showing off a Dueling Dealers sticker, and there's Sharon having a good time. I don't see any cupcakes for sale though. And is that Oranga? Could that be Oranga? You never know. He's got a dealer sticker on his backpack. So Anthony probably thinks he's funny. It probably is Oranga. There's George Hodge in the background. George was on that call too when Jason called me. So and Oranga was there as well. And there you go. There's you got Jason. Look, Anthony's kind of looking like the old grandpa geezery kind of guy here, right? And there's Mikhail. Mikhail wasn't there when the call was made. There's Larry, there's Dan, there's Fish, and there's Daryl. So many of you who have appeared on the show in the past are hanging out in New York without me. So, but it looks like they're having a good time. Oh, we don't want to see this. This is Anthony coercing those guys to say, "What's your best price, Anthony?" There's Mike and his brother John at Mike's booth, and Mike showing off a lot of artwork that he's got for sale. And what else we got here? More art for sale. Yep, Mike's just being Mike. He's made sure we're going to see all of his art. And then this is Mark A. He's the guy second from the left. German Peralta's there. What did he texted me something about? I could tell you about it. You know, those of you who are at the show, what did Mark tell me? He said that why is my computer slow? He said German Peralta has a brand new art drop of Maestro, Black Panther, and other originals at the show. Oh yeah, this is by Peralta here. He said this one's already sold, so he's like, I guess they've had a really good day one, and then Max Fiamara did this commission at the show. So if you're a fan of Max's, I don't know if he's, I think if I'm not mistaken, Mark took a pre-list for Max before the show, but maybe you can still get on it. But I love Max's work. I mean, you can see that thing right there is pretty darn gorgeous. Look at that. So, yep, I'd be happy with that. And that's my pictures from New York Comic Con today. So there you have it. So what else I got for you? I could go. I've got my Kevin Sharp, who is my guest picker, is in the green room already. So I'm gonna try to rip right through a couple of segments here so we can get right over to the CAF update. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about my heritage picks really quickly here, and it's kind of appropriate because my first pick is from Jaime Hernandez here, so that kind of goes along with Chris Lute's book that he talked about. So let me go ahead and share my screen for that. Where are you? There you are. So as always, thanks to Heritage for sponsoring the CAF update. I appreciate their support. This is from the third issue of Love and Rockets. And, you know, I mean, the art could have been anything, right? It's from the third issue of Love and Rockets. So it's totally cool. But I love this like 2/3 splash at the bottom with the, you know, with the main characters and just, you know, daydreaming thoughts and everything. But it's just so cool. I mean, I love it. I've always loved the book. And this is a freaking awesome page, and I can't imagine what it's going to sell for, but I think it's probably going to do pretty well. I mean, I don't even know what it's at right now, but well, there you go. It's at $3,600 already on the first, not even 24 hours of it being up. So yeah, this one's going to do very well. But again, man, that's just awesome. Yep. Nope. That's going to be a keeper if you're a fan of Love and Rockets. Then this is just a nice Sal Buscema, Bob McLeod, Incredible Hulk page. You know, again, I'm a sucker for anything that Bob McLeod works on, and you know, he makes Sal even better in lots of ways, I think. But you know, this is unmistakably Sal's pencils on this stuff, but McLeod's inks on it makes it really nice, a little bit different than what you might get from other inkers that have worked with Sal over the years. So nice page there. This is kind of a grim, you know, page by Eduardo Rizzo from 100 Bullets. But just love, you know, the fact that he's using the darks to outline and set up the panels on this page it's just gorgeous. This top panel is like, you know, has no panels, and it just bleeds into these other ones at the bottom and ends up doing the exact same kind of thing there. So as a whole, this image is just stunning. I mean, you know, it's a little sad looking, but at the art, unbelievable. As only Rizzo can do. But, you know, there's shades of Miller there with the bandages and things. I mean, there's definitely some interesting references there. And then piece after Chuck Arnold's Heart here is an authority page by Frank Quitely. And, you know, it's an okay page, but I had to highlight it because Heritage doesn't sell a lot of Quitely art. And I always, I loved his authority work. So this would be one that I would probably like to own if I were in the a buying mood right now. Here's a Charles Vess Batman piece that I thought was really nice. I mean, Vess, he's just an amazing artist, and tackling Batman isn't something that I think we're used to seeing from Vess too often. And then I really like the Joker image here. Just the brushwork on that is really nice. And yeah, so a commission piece that is wound up on Heritage. Then it's Halloween, so I picked a horror page. This is Ernie Chan from Ghost 14. I just spiders. What more can you want? Maureen, Maureen and I have some memes with spiders, I think, coming up. So I saw this and I thought, yeah, this will be a good page to show off, and I'm glad she's watching tonight. And Rich Larson page. I mean, you don't see. I mean, is there really a lot of Rich Larson panel page artwork out there? I mean, not a whole lot. I mean, I don't know what the title "Hot Stuff" is, but when I saw it as a piece by Rich Larson, I thought, well, that's cool. Because I'm not really familiar with a lot of stories that he's actually worked on. So sequential art. So this, I think of him more as the pinup poster guy with the Fastener and Larson side of things. So I thought that was cool. What else we got here? Oh, Gene Haas. This is actually a Black Widow origin page, but I mean, wow. It's all painted, all ink wash, and this thing. I mean, if this was on CAF, this would have been a piece you'd pick and feature, right? I mean, Chris Norrick and I would be fighting over which one of us would pick this, for a week, because it's gorgeous, and we don't get to see too much comic art, done in a manner like this, right? I mean, it's just you get Alex Ross, sometimes you get maybe a J.G. Jones, but here it's Gene Ha, and it's fabulous. I mean, it's everything about this thing is just, I love it. I want to own this page. And two more. These were more whimsical, fun things. Jim Mafood, I love his stuff. I know lots of you do. Kavi's a huge fan of Jim's stuff, but just a fun artwork. I've always loved Jim's style, and here's just a nice, commission, fun, funky piece that he did, and on Heritage. I don't see a lot of Mafood art there. And then also another artist I don't see a lot on Heritage is Jim Woodring. And so I figured I'd highlight this piece as well. I don't know, I can't remember, what was it? Pup Shaw and Pup Shaw, hardcover story, page 1. So painted artwork from Woodring. Very nice, very cool. Obviously, where do we see a lot of his art? Scott Eater sells a lot of Woodring's artwork. So, or used to anyway. So those are my Heritage picks. Good stuff. Lots of good stuff. All right, so everything from Rizzo is grim, says Tim. That's very true. All right, so before we hit the CAF update, one last thing, and that is the EXP preview, the 2 minutes of fun from Mr. Barucci, where of course Jim is on the EXP every Friday from 7 to 8, where he has he tries to sell as much as he can. It may not be able to sell everything that he has brought with him, but he does his very best. And I mean, I got to see half the show last week. Hopefully I'll be able to see most of the show tomorrow, since I'm kind of caught up with work around here. But yes, the EXP, which you can catch on YouTube or on Facebook. Of course, I always tell everybody, watch it on YouTube. I think that's where probably most of his viewers are watching, and the chat's more fun over there, just like it is here. So here is the preview for tomorrow's show.
Everyone, hope you're having a great week. If you're not going to New York Comic Con, or even if you are going to New York Comic Con, you can tune into the original art experience this Friday, October 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're going to have some fun. We've definitely got a different mix than we've had before for the original art experience, Friday, October 7th at 7 p.m. I'd like to reiterate. Anyway, here we go. We are going to have Kenny, Dynamite #1 cover. Kenny, we keep bringing him back. Like in South Park, Kenny keeps dying.
Yeah.
This keeps coming on the air and we never sell it. So we keep running out of time. We're also going to have Strange Adventures by Jim Starlin. Look how beautiful that is with Bizarro, and this will be very affordable. We're also going to have this beautiful Captain America page by John Romita Jr. We're also going to have 3 commission cover art. We thought it would be really cool having Ben Reilly Spider-Man, Hobgoblin, and Kraven the Hunter. We're also going to have, by Bob Layton, a few special pieces. This new Teen Titans #1 recreation. Plus, we're going to have George Perez's personal creator trading cards available. Then this, for those of you that keep saying, that ought to be in a museum, this was actually in a museum in Florida commemorating Bob Layton. And we are going to be able to ship it to you framed. And for those of you who really love more commission cover art, Bob Layton again, you gotta love it. So this Friday, October 7th, 7 p.m. Eastern on the Original Art Experience, and we might have a few more pieces that we haven't shown yet. And maybe we'll even do a giveaway. What do you think, Amy? Should we do a giveaway?
I say go for it.
We're gonna do a giveaway. I got permission. So hit that thumbs up, and I'll see you Friday at 7.
So he's going to do a giveaway too. All right. Thank you. Nick, you always make a fun show, I'm telling you. So looking forward to that. Tomorrow, 7 to 8 p.m. on the EXP. David Matheny says, Nick truly is Santa Claus of original comic art. Yes, indeed. All right. So now we can get the CAF update started here, and we'll roll through the dealer update. This is going to be for the prior week, as we always do these things. And this is for the week of September 26th through October 2nd. So lots of there was a lot of activity on both sides of things between dealers and auction houses. You know, the big thing for the auction houses was they had that mini European signature auction that I think produced a couple $1 million in sales. So I mean, I'm not going to highlight anything from the auction houses and that particular set. I mean, I can look at it now and just give you. I mean, there were 484 pieces sold in that signature auction, totaling $1.9 million. The top selling item was that Jim Lee Scott Williams Batman cover, sold for $137,000, and followed up by 2 pieces by Winsor McKay, a Christmas illustration for $75,000, and then a little Nemo in Slumberland Sunday that sold for $69,000. So, but those totals don't kind of skew anything since we keep some of that stuff out of the reporting here. But let's hit the dealers first. And dealers had a good week. They sold $368,000 in original art compared to $292 the week before. Panel Page, and we'll see why. Panel Page from Glenn, he had sold 10 pieces for a total of $133,000 out of that 368. So he accounted for over a third of the total sales. Albert was next. He had a big art drop, 69 sales, $94,000. Mike had 12 sales, just under 50,000. Anthony had 83 sales, $43,000, and Will had 2 sales, and they accounted for $36,000 in sales. Everybody else was under 10, so I always don't include anybody who didn't reach the $10,000 mark in sales, but at least recorded sales last week. So let me go ahead and show you the top 6 sales from original art dealers last week. First up is the piece from Glenn that kind of set his bar really high. Of course, Frank Miller's Spider-Man 1 cover, and the asking price on this one as sold was $60,000. So, and that was sold on Sunday, actually. So next up from Will, and this is how Will got on the list. This is FF 209 title page from 1979. First Herbie, ladies and gentlemen, first Herbie. And this is by Byrne and Sinnott, and the asking price on this one was $36,000. Now, wow, this is like a bargain on this Jim Lee Scott Williams Detective 1063 cover. $35,000 asking price on it. I mean, they're going on Heritage for $137,000, so $35,000 is a good deal on that one. Then we've got this spectacular Spider-Man cover. Mike, I know we showed it a few times on different shows, but this is by Bob Layton, sold for $26,000 is the asking price. Then 2 more pages from Glenn. This one first is Wolverine 23 cover, John Romita Jr. art, sold for the asking price of $20,000 last Monday, actually, and then as did this one. And this one actually appeared on Cap too. It was well received, I believe. The cover to Cap 427 by Dave Hoover. Asking price on this one, $15,000 as well from Glenn. So that's why Glenn had a very solid week last week. So now we'll go ahead and talk about the auction houses. We'll give you 3 top from eBay and 3 top from Heritage, excluding their signature auctions. So let's see. eBay had a kind of down week, 133,000 in sales, and Heritage's weekly did 162, which is about their average. And let's go take a look at the top 3 from each of them. eBay first, of course. And, I have a feeling that, if you saw the Dinesh interview and his penchant for wanting to get Rick Leonardi's Spider-Man 2099 art, then I'm sure he was a player on this one. It sold for $12,042. This is from issue 7, the DPS title page, pages 2 and 3. Then this Ty Templeton Batman and Robin Adventures cover was listed at $29.99. It actually sold for the make offer of $22.50. And then this piece of Ron Cobb art. I always see Ron Cobb. I mean, I'm not a fan. I'm not, I don't hate it, but his stuff sells pretty well. It's just $2,500 for this piece of art from 1969. And the 3 Heritage picks, top sellers for the week. First was another Milton Caniff. We see a lot of these. This is a Sunday, sold for $9,600. Then a page that I would have loved to have, but knew I could never. This is from Matt Wagner's Mage, The Hero Discovered, issue 3, page 13, went for $7,800. I mean, if you're, a child in the 80s, this stuff is gold. Then there was this Superman Sunday, and it's attributed to Wayne Boring, Win Mortimer, and it sold for $6,600. So there you go. There's the top 3 from eBay and from Heritage. So Jansen Inks, I don't know. What's that? I'm not sure. What? I'm sorry. You guys are funny. I'm sorry. It is a great Wagner page. That era, that's why I love the Elementals. I love the Elementals. I love Mage. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean, all that stuff that came out during that period is great. And I just know I'll never own a Matt Wagner Mage artwork from those first 3 books. I'd love to, but it just know it'll never fall my way. Maybe I guess, never say never. It's something could happen, but yeah. Wes says, I'll take the best Dave Hoover over the worst. I know, Wes, that was a good pickup. It definitely was a good pickup. All right, well, let's get my guest of the evening into the show, and let me welcome Kevin Sharp. Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Hey, Bill, nice to see you.
Oh, nice to see you as well. And I put a link to your it's not your blog, right? It's because you where does it? It's what's the name of the site? It's a Fan Base Press or something.
Fan Base Press, yeah. I'm just one of the writers there. But yeah, it's I do a creator interview series called Between the Panels. And to date myself, it's kind of a throwback to the old Amazing Heroes and Comics interview magazine from the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
I tried to see if we could bring that model back into a web format.
And how long have you been writing it?
I think we just had the 4th birthday this year.
Wow.
And the site, I got to give full credit. It's not just, I'm not the only one running the site, but we were Eisner nominated this year for journalism, for comics journalism.
Oh, wow.
At this year's Comic-Con. We didn't win, and so I'm not quite clear on what the statute of limitations on how long you can brag about a nomination if you don't actually win. But
I think you're allowed to do it forever.
The rest of 2022 is fair, I think.
I mean, come on. Whenever you see an artist bio, the Eisner nominated, hey, I'm gonna. Anybody's happy just to get nominated. So no, that's
yeah.
That's
you see a movie trailer. You see a movie trailer, Academy Award nominee, and that happened in 1972. So yes, I guess that's fair.
Exactly. I mean, there's many actors who are just happy to be nominated for an Academy Award and not to get one, but no. So, but to be that diligent and be writing for 4 years, that's a major accomplishment. I mean, I'm impressed. There are days when I look at what we're doing here and I'm like 2.5 years in, and I'm feeling the burn.
Right.
As I say, I need a break, but no, I think that's great. I mean, we need more content like that out there. And I'll be honest, I just kind of browsed through it quickly. I don't know if I can. I put, again, for those of you who are watching on YouTube or Facebook, as the only places that are out there live, you should look down in the description and you can check out a link there that'll take you to Kevin's, at least all of the stories that he's written over there, and you should check it out. I mean, because it's a weekly, and it's definitely worth it. I mean, we need more of that stuff going on in our hobby. I think that it's important, and clearly, if you got an Eisner nomination, then other people are taking notice too.
Well, in full credit, a host is only as good as his guests. or her guests. And so I have to give a virtual tip of the hat to all of the creators from what you would call like the minor leagues, or people who are just on the edge of, double A, triple A, on the edge of making the big time, all the way up to like when Dan DiDio left DC, he did 2 interviews on his way out the door in 2020, and I was one of them. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I'm saying I really appreciate him taking the time and having the faith in me. With all that, he probably just wanted to go hide in a cave somewhere, because I would have.
Right. Oh no, that was not a fun moment
Right.
for DC at all, or anybody that was there at that moment.
Right.
So,
So yeah, but anyway, I just appreciate every guest all over this time who's taken the time to chat with me, and it's been a great ride, and I'm happy to keep it going.
cool. Well, that's awesome. Well, again, everybody, in the description is a link. You should check it out later after the show's over. And and I assume they must push all that stuff out socially somehow, right? So that the easy ways to kind of try.
Yeah, it's on Twitter, on Instagram. Yeah, it's everywhere else. Yeah. And so this week's guest, I'll just quickly pimp this week's guest, is editor Will Dennis, who was formerly at Vertigo in kind of the heyday of Vertigo. And he's now partnered with Scott Snyder on this project, Best Jacket Press, which they're releasing through Comixology and Dark Horse. And Will has some great, juicy stories from the days at DC for what it's like to be a hands-on editor at one of the big 2 companies. If that's something that's of interest to the listeners, highly recommend his chat, because he definitely after we were done talking, had a moment of like, well, I sure shared a lot, didn't I? And I'll just leave it at that.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll give it a read. I enjoy those kind of stories. So I appreciate you volunteering. You volunteered a couple months ago, I think, saying that you were ready to willing to help out, and we're trying to give Chris a break so he's not grinding it out every week, because like you said, you saw it too. It's not easy to go through the artwork that goes like, and to find 10 pieces that you want to talk about that you think are chat worthy.
And I'm glad that Mikhail went last week, and I'm glad I got his warning about how when you look at it, you see all the for sale stuff as well as the items. So I'm on a lockdown as well, Bill. And so I had to squint an eye. If I saw that red banner, I just had to like keep scrolling.
I know. I mistakenly highlighted art for sale. I'm not, obviously we don't want to, but it's happened to me. I mean, I've done it. It's almost impossible to not do it, especially for people who aren't premium, right? Because you don't get the red banner around it. And I really pick pieces kind of, my first pass is looking at the thumbnails. And so it's easy to miss those. And I've done that a few times, and it was always with a non-premium member who had something for sale. I just love the artwork. And I mean, look what I did when I interviewed Tony Marine the other day. The image I used on the show thumbnail was he had a wanted gallery on his calf. I mean, totally not allowed to do that, but he did. And I didn't even bother. I was just like, oh, that's a great V for Vendetta page. I want to show that. And yep, he didn't even own it. I've still got to update that show graphic.
Well, I do have to briefly do the calf walk of shame while we're sitting here in front of everybody, because I have become inadvertently a black hole collector, and that none of my pages are my calf gallery is entirely commissions, because I can only scan up to 11 by 14, and I've just been too lazy to correct that problem. So I'm doing the walk of shame here in front of the entire audience. That's on me.
Well, we're glad that you're not using your cell phone to take pictures of the ones that you can't scan. We'd rather see scans. So maybe, so you're not a black hole collector by choice, but by the limitations of how you can reproduce the art for us to see it. So that's okay.
A black hole collector by inertia, we'll call it that. But I'm happy to spread out a nice bright blanket and photograph some art on there. I know you like.
Right. Yeah. Well, you could do a flip sometime where you're using your phone, just film a portfolio for us so we can get an idea of some of the published artwork that you have.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah.
So, okay, let's see. Well, why don't we take a look at, we'll start off with your picks like we do every week. So let me share the screen here, and let's see, move a couple things around here for me. All right. So this first one, I think, if I'm not mistaken, this was in Jordan's collection, right? Yeah. Jordan Joannou, who I just mentioned is going to be on an amateur show against Nick in a few short weeks. So that'll be fun. They did it once before, but here we have the very first appearance of the Phantom Stranger. So this is awesome, right?
I mean, the lettering this is the first thing, honestly, that jumped out at me. I love the hand lettering around him. I'm also a sucker for anytime you get a page where you can see the very first, like the ground zero iteration of a character who I'd associate, depending on what your age is, as a fan, I think of the Fan of Strangers Jim Aparo art.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so to see this kind of raw, not fully cooked version of the character is just so cool. And also Jerry Grandinetti, I think, I mean, for the real scholars of comic art and, Silver Age collectors, is obviously a name that's really appreciated. But I would say for most people, like the vast majority of people would probably, their only exposure to Grandinetti might be like those Liechtenstein, I'm going to use air quotes on this, art pieces, the panels from his war comics.
Right.
So I really appreciated everything about this page, and also that it's by an artist that I just saw the comment on the screen that the appreciation is picking up lately, but I think there's still miles to go. And I just love the lettering, the layout, and everything about this.
Yeah, no, I mean, everything, you're absolutely right. I mean, the whole structure of this, the way the lettering is done in here to break up this bottom pair of panels is just great. And you're right. I mean, I'm a sucker for anything that's hand lettered too, like this. I mean, so I mean, you can't ask for more than this on a page. So this is beautiful. I'm sure Jordan was thrilled to have this thing added to his collection. I mean, he's a big first appearance guy anyway, but for him, I mean, to get something like this at a junction, he's been doing, collecting our first appearances for so long. I mean, you think it would be hard for him to get like something that would probably make him impressed as well. So to be able to own something like this, that is this gorgeous and this important, I think is, I'm sure he's tickled pink to have that. Big mahalo to Micah at Comic Connect for helping me become the caretaker of this one. So congrats to Jordan on that one. Yeah, when I saw this one too, I was going to pick it. So so you picked it. So you kind of made it easy. I could just let you take charge on this one.
Well,
but, I'll tell you, I am a sucker for anything from Marvel team up that Byrne did in that little run. Just all those stories were just so they were just so over the top and so good. The Craven, one was probably one of my favorites, but this too, I mean, man. So to see this piece pop up on CAF, I mean, I was pretty happy to see it.
Yeah, you know why I picked this page? And I mean, who's not a 70s Bronze Age Byrne fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know, Bill, your taste in the Byrne is like the earlier X-Men versus the later.
Exactly.
Yeah, so this is probably your prime Byrne period. But what really struck me about this is this would be a great example if you were trying to teach a seminar or something on what an inker does, because this is Tony DeZuniga. And if you look at, you can still see it's unmistakably Byrne, but the scratchiness is the best word I can think of the line, especially with the crowd down there in the foreground. If this page was inked by Rubenstein or Austin, or you just had a Joe Sinnott page in the preview earlier, this would look significantly different. Obviously not the layout and the characters, but the ink line. And so this really jumped out at me as like what the contribution is by an inker on an artist who we all know, where you can spot what his style looks like. But now you can also, because you know what his style looks like, you can appreciate the second artist coming in.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. It was funny. For some reason, I decided to see if DeZuniga had done any other inking on Byrne that was on CAF, and there wasn't any. So I don't know how often he inked Byrne, but it was striking to me as well that it made me curious to see if anybody else owned either any other piece from this story, or if there was any other work out there where they had been paired together, and there wasn't, at least on CAF. I mean, maybe there's something else out there, but I felt the same way when I looked at it, that you could see that he was really Tony brought his own style to Byrne's work, but it's unmistakably Byrne, right? I mean, everything from just from the character poses to just it's just unmistakable, John Byrne artwork from this period. But it was the thing I was struck with most too, was the inking and it being just uncommon, for Byrne's work of this time period.
I think of Byrne as one of the first words I think of with Byrne is like slick or smooth. And this is not that, but not in a negative way. It's just different.
Yeah, no, very true. I wonder what Byrne thought of it, at the end of the day, because it does have more of a, it's funny when you do look at it, it has like a treatment that is more like the horror books of the day, because you're thinking of that kind of inking style. But it's not bad. But yeah, I'm curious what he would have thought of it at the time. I mean, maybe there's a reason why there's only one page on cap. This might have been the one and done.
I think Bill, actually reading the comments on this piece, or maybe it's the story behind the piece, but somewhere on the page with this, there is a reference to Byrne being a fan of Tony's inks on this issue.
Oh, interesting. So somebody who's already commented, or you?
Yes, yeah.
All right, I'll go through. See, Steve Gum. For some reason, pages rarely come on the market. Byrne has said that he was really pleased with Dezaniga's inking on this issue, and I can see why. Yeah, then there you go. That's why this is the only page that the pair worked on that's on calf. I don't know, and when you pull back from it, it's you actually lose a bit of Tony there, and you can see it's more of a Byrne page at that point. So yeah, no, but it makes me actually want to go back and look at that issue now, just to see how the inking looks throughout the entire issue, because this is a book that I actually still own. I haven't looked at it probably in 20 years, but no, great example, and but I love this piece when it came up.
I thought you might.
Now this one I had, this is whose calf gallery are we in here? Because that was, and just by the way, I think that was Steve Lawrence's calf gallery, wasn't it? On the last one, yes, Steve Lawrence. Steve Lawrence continues to rock comic art fans with everything. Now, this is a collector named Geyser, no first name or no last name, from Germany. Been a member since January 2022, and I am not familiar with the artist at all.
Nor am I, and you can handle the pronunciation on this.
Yeah, where's Ruben?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a Ruben signal to light when we need to?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I can't even try that. Agur can Yuch. I have no idea. Is there even a description here? Can we get no German movie poster? All right. Yeah. Well,
okay.
This collector is from Germany.
I picked this. So this is a 1979 movie. The U.S. title was Roller Boogie. I picked this because I am just so happy that this is on calf. I'm a big fan of. So Roller Fever, I think, was the international title. I'm a big fan of movie poster art like Bob Peak and Struzan. Like painted posters will always kind of ring my bell. And seeing this it just made me smile. That's the actress in white in the front is Linda Blair from The Exorcist.
Right.
She was the co-star of this movie. And this is just such a slice of Americana where you could just show somebody this and say, tell me approximately when you think this would have been made. And most people of a certain age would go, 1976 to 1980 is probably the only time this could have existed. And it's 79. It's right in the heart of that. And there's not a lot of like breaking down we can do on the art. It's just for me, a delightful just snapshot of this moment in time in the culture and this particular movie, which, gosh, I probably have seen as a child, but I couldn't quote you anything about the movie itself. I'm just so happy that this is on calf.
Well, as am I. I'm a huge illustration art fan, and I have a lot of pieces, in that vein. And I love it when pieces like this show up on calf. I think we need more of it because it's I know we are comic art fans, but I do. I like the variety that we get to see on calf. And a piece like this, I probably wouldn't have picked it, but and I didn't see it until you sent it in. So I think it's wonderful. I wish I could pronounce the artist's name. I bet you this is probably the only piece on calf from them. Let's see. Would I be wrong? Yeah, I would be. No, I wouldn't be. Posted by. No, there is actually more. Here, actually shouldn't. Let me just slide this over here. So Yeah, I mean, I'm not really familiar with the work that they've done, but it's all one collector. This is a different collector whose name I can't pronounce. Bulo A. But yeah, it looks like they did a lot of pieces for advertising, for book publications. No, that's great. There's a few sellers on eBay like Wow Art whose sites I go to a lot just to look at the illustration book cover stuff that they sell. Never bought anything, but I really enjoy looking at it.
Oh, I
And
agree. Even if you don't, I sometimes just with sites, with collections like this, I treat it like a museum where even if I'm not going home with something, just looking at it and it's just eye candy.
yeah, no, this is great. I mean, I'm kind of impressed. I've never heard of the artist before, but yeah, you look at all this stuff and it's so reminiscent of the period, late mid to, well, say early 70s to very early 80s paperback,
Yeah.
artwork. I mean, look at this stuff. This is fantastic. So no, this is a great pick. I'm going to actually set this. I'm going to pull that tab out and set it over on another window so I can look at it later. But wow, I'm even happier that you picked that artist now. There's a lot of great art, and I had no idea. I figured that was going to be the only piece on the site, and there wasn't. What was the search count there? 37 pieces. I mean, that's incredible. We've discovered a new artist on Cast. All right, so next up we've got Jim Aparo, and this is from Batman 450.
I don't think there's a large scan of this.
No, this is it, but that's all right. You almost don't need one. The storytelling,
Right.
so it's so well done with the shadows on the character. I mean, man, that's
So for me, and a lot of people probably of our age bracket, Aparo may be like Neil Adams was before my time, so Aparo was my Batman guy. But then when you look back at Aparo's 70s work, Bill, I mean, the man was a god. To me, when he was inking his own work, I mean, he just held mountains in the palm of his hand. And I'm talking about Brave and the Bold, The Spectre, The Phantom Stranger, that whole period. So the reason now in the 80s, when he wasn't inking himself, I found that his work got a little, it was still very solid and high quality, but it just didn't quite have that dynamism that I really love about his prime time period. I love this page because it reminds me of his 70s work. It's got kind of that almost dangerous feel to it, which, say, for example, something like Batman and the Outsiders is just really good comic art, but the adjective I'm going to use just for myself is it's safe. Whereas Aparo Adventure Comics, The Spectre, feels dangerous. And that's what I love about this page is the energy that comes off it. Is this reminds me of prime Aparo that happened to appear in his later period. And I love this page. The shadows, the Dutch angle on that first panel with the doorway. And I believe this is all Joker. And you don't get any Joker. I mean, as far as what we'd call a classic image. But God, who wouldn't want this page if you're a Batman collector?
Yeah, no, I mean, I love it. I mean, wonderful storytelling, and I mean, yeah. The more I'm looking at it, it is just absolutely gorgeous. I don't need a Aparo fighting, Batman fighting anybody page. This would be enough for me, and because I've actually never owned. I hate to say it, everybody, especially to you, Nick. I've never owned anything by Jim Aparo at all, and yeah, this thing it's fantastic. I mean, I love it. And again, a piece I didn't see until you sent me your list. I don't know how I missed this one.
And I don't know if this would be categorized as a a primo Aparo page because there's no hero or villain on full display here. But I think it's awesome.
I agree. See, Nick has goaded me on. You got to get a page, Bill. I agree. No, I completely agree. And I do. I'm trying to get more, a few pieces of DC art here and there. I'm working on it. But yeah, this is really, really great. And this is in Nick F's calf gallery, member since 2019. So he's coming up on his third anniversary. But yeah, nope, this is it's gorgeous. And Joseph Jorgensen's calf gallery, Doug Mankey pencils on this one. Final Crisis.
Okay, this one you need to see big.
Yeah.
So this book, when it was printed in 3D for the for the comic. And so the storyline for this, for those who didn't read it, very briefly, it's just a 2-issue kind of miniseries inside Final Crisis. That in the hospital bed on the left side, that's Lois Lane, and Clark Kent is there at her bedside. And what happens is time is frozen, and Superman is taken out on this adventure that happens. If I remember right, the whole adventure takes place between 2 heartbeats, and then he's back in the hospital room at the end. Spoiler alert: Lois Lane survives, but he's taken on this crazy psychedelic adventure that Grant Morrison is the writer. Doug Mahnke, and just imagine being the artist laying this thing out. I mean, look at that vanishing point and how those panels drop in there. It's crazy. And the art was cool in 3D, but almost seeing it in 2D makes me appreciate the art even more.
Yeah, I mean, I had never read the issue, but that was the thing that I was struck by, was just how he was handling the perspective on this piece. Just because, I mean, where is it, right? The lines are curving in such a way that, I mean, you're using your imagination on this one to make it work. But I even want to see this image a little bit larger. I think that there's a lot more detail here that we're missing. The inking is fabulous on this piece.
Yeah, the inking is so crisp, and it's very much a metafictional adventure about comics taking place in a comic. And you can kind of get a taste of that, even if you didn't know anything about the story. Just on this page, just look at, it's a comic book page disappearing into a comic book page. I mean, I just want
that's Grant Morrison for you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You know? Yes, that's awesome. See, now I appreciate it even more.
Yeah, I want to see this as 2 boards. I assume it's 2 boards. I want to see this from blank to this. I want to watch this be drawn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's amazing. And so again, wow, Joseph, this is a nice pickup. Wow. I was checking to see, did he write a description? I was curious what his thoughts were on the piece, but he didn't have any, no comments on it yet either.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's been on there since the 20th or the 29th. Wow. Somebody's got to get on there and comment on that art. As everybody knows, we link all of the artworks in the show description, which is linked from the show. So you can go look at these pieces on your own and comment on them afterwards, because, yeah, this piece definitely deserves some. Next up, I mean, John Paul Leon.
Oh,
we were just talking, you know, Chris Lutz had shown the book, and now, you know, you've got this is, I've always wanted to own something by John Paul, you know, even before he passed. I mean, he's just an incredible talent, and you see a page like this, and man, he was just so darn good. I mean, look at this.
You want to hear my sad
JPL
story?
Please.
It's very short. It's more of an anecdote than a story. Last year, we had set up, he was going to do a commission for me, and I was supposed to email him all the commission details on a Monday. And literally the day before, I heard the news about his passing.
Oh,
that was, I mean, it's a huge loss for comics. And he was such a sweet guy, but selfishly, that was horrible. I mean, just what a gut punch, not only for the world of comics, just to that timing. And so every time I see his work now, it's bittersweet. But this page is awesome. And I think people throw around words like cinematic when we're talking about big DPS fight scenes and giant battles with a bunch of characters. This is what I would call cinematic, because this could almost be the storyboards for a film. You could film this using these exact shots, and you'd say nothing really, quote unquote, happens in this page other than somebody waking up and getting out of bed. But look at how interesting it is to look at. Just the depth of the shadows on all the panels, the way it walks you through the room, and not in a boring way. It's almost like you could almost have a metronome ticking as you go panel to panel, tick, tick, and there's a clock later. You could match it up with that as it just steps you through beat by beat, panel by panel. The angles are chosen perfectly. No extraneous details, only what you need. So look at the third panel, you see the close-ups. In the second panel, you just get a sense that there are framed things on the wall. You don't need to see more. He guides your eye as the reader just so masterfully. I love this page so much.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's gorgeous, really. Yeah, and I'd actually met him a few times, and never bought any of his published work. I had him do a con sketch for me once, but I regret it now because nobody's really selling any, and so it doesn't come on the market too often. But yeah, his work was always amazing, and he was really, obviously we had it happened right before the last Comic Art Live, or was it the prior one? I can't even remember now.
It was May 2021, I think.
2021. So so that year, okay, so it's, yeah, time flies, right? So we had a bunch of Marquez artists on kind of a tribute panel because he had worked with a lot of his, those guys from Jock to kind of, names are escaping me right now, but yeah, I mean, he was very impressed. He impressed many other creators too. I mean, just in his storytelling, and and his style is so uniquely his that I mean, yeah, I mean, he's somebody who always was very impressive, and I think in weird ways underrated early on, even though his style was very consistent throughout his career. So,
and you don't want to say that. I wouldn't say it's easy at all to draw a cool scene of Spider-Man punching the Goblin, for example, but a lot of artists can do it and make it look cool. Not a lot of artists can do a scene like this and make it look as interesting as this is.
Yeah, agreed. Wow. Well, this is in Brian Sieber's CAF gallery, and we got a lot of comments. Well, 2 comments,
and one of them is a reply to Marcus. So
yes.
Really, there's one.
That's true. Only one. Thank you, Marcus, for doing that. Great first page to the entire Earth X series. Lots of hype and previews before it hit the stands, and certainly launched big because of Alex Ross's popularity. But it introduced many of us to John Pauleone's work. Yep, without question. Marcus always is very insightful as a comics historian. Lee Bermejo. Yes, I'm sorry. Lee was on that tribute panel that we hosted as well, along with Jock and a few other. I just wish I could remember everybody else who was on that. But at any rate, wonderful page, and again, it's great to have a piece like this on CAF. So let me get that liked. Now we can switch over here something a little different. John Bolton.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Bolton's a master illustrator, right?
Yeah.
The thing for me with Bolton, I haven't read a lot of his comics work, and I don't even know that there is a lot of comics work. I can sometimes find his panel-to-panel storytelling to be a little stiff as far as just the flow of panels, but each individual panel is a thing of beauty. And I really think Bolton, something like this is a portfolio plate, if I believe. This is where his mastery shines, is just these snapshot still moments where you can just kind of get lost in the scene, and you as the viewer can imagine what came right before this, what's coming right after this. And it just suggests so much possibility with the art. It's so rich. And what I love especially about this piece is, if I didn't know John Bolton and I just saw this piece, I would go, was this made in 2022 or 1922 or 1822? Or, was this a medieval wood carving that somebody just dug up somewhere? It's timeless is the adjective that I'd use for this. It doesn't feel of any era. It's magical.
No, I agree. It really is hard to. I wish we had a better scan of it too, because it's hard to see all the detail in it. But you're right. I mean, what is it? 1985 from Bolton. So
if you can get. I know it's hard without being able to zoom in, but anybody who's looking on their own screen, if you can get in close on this, boy, there's some really nice, very fine line work.
Nope, I'm with you on that one. I mean, it looks like a Dürer print, etching or
Right.
something, which would have been in the 1700s. But yeah, no, I wonder how much other. What do we got? 600 pieces of Bolton art on the site, so that's not bad. It looks a lot of it, like you said, it's probably a mix of comic and other artwork here. Tristan Portal. I'm not familiar with Tristan Portal, whose calf gallery we were looking at. All right. Well, very interesting. I mean, Bolton's not somebody whose work I've gone on and looked at too often on calf, so I'm going to actually leave this search window open too and check out.
Yeah, the piece that, if you scroll up a little bit, the piece that's a thin column in the middle of white
Right.
on the left, that is also from the portfolio we were just looking at. I think that's the cover to it.
Let's see, absolutely work from the portfolio. Yep, you're right. Cover from 1985. Well, that's cool. That's cool. To see artwork surface like that. That's fantastic. I'm gonna have to. This is another. Well, I should just follow this guy's calf. I'm gonna have to. I'm pulling this tab out and saving it along with that other artist I'm not familiar with to look at later. Now this is an artist we're all familiar with, Joe Quesada.
Okay, so before you zoom in, look at the Neil Gaiman quote down in the description of this, because that quote is going to speak for me.
I love this more than I can easily express. Neil Gaiman via Twitter, and after seeing the drawing, that's and this was this is from a drink and draw. Wow.
Yep. So, wow. I mean, hats off to the collector who has this. I would love to have this on my wall. I just think this is such a joyous, much like the Roller Boogie poster in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the pose is fantastic. The guitar, the angle of the head, the lettering is cool too, but I'm just focusing on the death figure, the Ankh kind of flowing back behind her. And then the fact that he could have just stopped with her regular costume, but he made it a CBGB shirt. And that is just like the chef's kiss detail on the top of this that puts it over the top for me. I adore this piece.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's very uniquely Joe. It's funny. I was actually watching that Joan Jett biography last night on Amazon Prime, and she was wearing a CBGB shirt. But it's kind of got that feel to it too. But no, this is awesome, and I like the fact that it was produced on a live stream, and ended up in somebody's collection. I love. I've seen several pieces that have come out of those drink and draws, and some from Panosian or from Joe before, and they're always fun. And this is great. This is really, really nice.
I thought when I first saw it, I thought for sure it was going to be in Mikhail's Sandman collection.
Yeah, no, I would think that too, but matches Malone. Has a pretty decent calf gallery if you haven't ever traveled through it. Remember, since 2005, so it's been around a very, very, very long time here on calf. Let me sure how many. I mean, I'd have to go back and look. I've been in their calf gallery a ton, but this is a nice addition to calf, and so congratulations to them for that. And I'm glad you picked this one, Kevin. Let's see, we got two more here. So switching gears a little bit over here to this more. An older piece, a nice Green Lantern, and it's in Patrick Kahanick's calf gallery. And yeah, he's got one heck of a collection too.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I used to read Silver Age reprints of the Gil Kane the early Green Lanterns, and this is like my comfort food. This is me being nostalgic for a time when I wasn't even alive, because looking at this page just reminds me of reading those. They came in little like digest books.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had told me that this is the same artist who was the Bronze Age and 80s era Gil Kane, I would have said, there's no way. Right? His style, he got so stylized that this almost seems quaint in comparison. But then you can still see a little bit of it, like panel 2, that prone figure is recognizably Kane. The Kane that we all think of first, probably the later one. But this is such crisp, clean, just like the epitome of Silver Age artwork to me. And I could look at this stuff all day. And I believe this collector has multiple pages by Kane, Green Lantern. I love them all. And I just picked this one because I love that last panel with all of the Green Lanterns. But I could have picked any of the ones that he has.
Yeah, no, this is it's great. I mean, early oh, it's inked by GL too. Okay, I didn't check that earlier, but yeah, no, you're right. There are subtle differences yet similarities between his style here to maybe what a lot more people are familiar with, later in his career. But yeah, no, this is a great clean page. It's very exemplary for DC Comics, of that period. Just the style and the storytelling feel to it. I mean, I like this one a lot. And again, not a DC fan, but if I had to have a Gil Kane DC oriented page, this would be I'd be fine with this. And even from this period, one like you said, it's one that I would have been catching up on later as well. Let's see, it doesn't. I don't know what year do you think this was? Green Lantern 6.
Oh gosh, I want to say maybe 61.
That's what I was thinking too. Very early 60s.
Because his showcase appearance was 59.
Yeah.
So you're probably dealing in the first 2 years after that.
Wow.
But I like how you word it, Bill. If I had to have a Gil Kane page.
Yeah, because I like Gil's work, from say the 70s or early 80s, but this is different, and when I think everybody knows that, like, my goal is like get good examples from like everybody artists that I like. This would be a unique way for me to like pick up a piece that wouldn't be what people might expect for me to get, but one that I would actually enjoy seeing because it is different. And I'd have to check out Patrick's calf because I think of Patrick as the Frazetta guy to me, but I know that he has a lot of different tastes as well. So no, this is great. So I'm actually gonna set this aside too because I want to see what Patrick's been up to. We did an interview with him, or one of the earliest interviews we did was actually with Patrick when we were still doing the group interviews with Mike, Glenn, and Will and I, and he was just a lot of fun to chat with. I mean, he's had a very interesting history in the hobby, and certainly has a wonderful eye for gems, and he has many grails that that would make up like a cornerstone for anybody's collection. He's got a lot of wonderful art. So next piece here, this is an easy one to say that it's Mike McKone when you see the colors and the character. Just he's got a way about him, and the work that he's been selling through TD Art Gallery with Tatiana. He usually does like 2 of those art drops a year. I mean, who doesn't want to own one, right? Because they're all just so amazing, and his colors are always striking.
Yeah, I've been a purchaser on a couple of those drops.
Oh, good.
And as I can attest, as the saying goes on CAF, the scan doesn't do it justice, because the scans look good, and Tatiana does really nice scans, but until you get it in your hands, you don't realize the depth of the color. And first of all, what I love about this is he painted Satana. Okay, that right there already makes it a winner. But also she's a redhead in a red costume, but yet it doesn't read as just a blob of color. He differentiates it, and the textures and the shading make it so even looking at it small, looking at it close up, it works. It doesn't clash. It complements. And then the window, the tapestry in the background, very nice colors, but putting those 2 little devils there is just, that's the extra touch that just makes McKone so good. He didn't need to put those 2 there. It would have looked good without them, but with them, it's awesome.
Yeah, it really balances out the image. Yeah, no, it's stunning. I mean, I've loved McKone's work for a while, and I actually ran into him at a show recently, and he's just a really nice guy. I'd never talked to him before, but yeah, and it was funny. I actually didn't zoom in to this until we did just now, and you're right. You totally don't see the color variations in the skin tone. I mean, I didn't even know the eye color, was really different until I saw the larger image. So no, this is gorgeous. And I mean, I hope he keeps doing these, where he does those 100-piece art drops with Tatiana. I mean, yeah, this is awesome. And and that was like a really interesting time too, right? I mean, I think he did his first one right after the pandemic started. So, he probably had a lot of time to kill when he had to take that month or month and a half or 2 months off or whatever, and he focused on doing these, and it went really well, right? I mean, I think it just goes back to, you know, that thing we've talked about a lot, about how a lot of creators just found ways to make a living during the time when they couldn't be doing published work. And what did we get out of it as collectors? A really unique opportunity to buy artwork at a grand scale that we might not have ever had the opportunity to do. And if it hadn't have done so well, maybe he wouldn't have kept on doing them, but they did do well. So yeah, no, I mean, this is nice. I mean, it's, you know, that's kind of one of the things I love about CAF. When we built CAF, it was the idea of just being able to see all the artwork that's out there, and not just like select pieces that people think are, you know, the gems of their collection. And so so it's wonderful when you see stuff like this, you know, on CAF and proudly displayed in somebody's CAF gallery, and you kind of know the history of how a lot of these pieces were done. I mean, I know he does this work at shows too, but when you see it, you just, you know, you always, to me, I'm just thinking it must have come from one of those art drops that he's done. So I don't know. This makes me love the hobby even more. When
you know what? If you had this hanging in your home and somebody came over who knew nothing about comics, let alone knew who Satana was, could appreciate this just as a piece of pop art. It's like, I don't want to reuse the word pop again, but if you haven't seen these in person, these colors are just so dynamic.
Yeah, and are they? I would assume it's watercolor. I mean, there's a long. Wow, this is a long description on this one.
Oh yeah, it's a whole story about what it took to get this piece.
Well, I'll have to. Oh, it's from Eric. Oh, Eric Dos Santos. I love Eric. I mean, Eric is our Arthur Adams collector, of course. Everybody, as if you didn't know already. But Eric always writes a very lengthy description about how he picked up his pieces. So I'll have to go through and read that later. But is it? I would have to think it's watercolor.
Yeah, I believe they are.
How he gets it to be that striking, I mean, that would be the question to ask Mike directly. But yeah, wow.
Because definitely when you hold them, that the paper has that feel of paper that's been saturated with watercolor.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, whoever just that I saw that comment go by on display, man, these things. I'm telling you, any collector who's doesn't have one of these, the next art drop, if there's a character you're interested in at all, when you get that in your hands and you see it 6 inches from your face, you will say, wow, I'm glad I pulled the trigger on this.
Yep. No, hey Chris, I get it. It is so saturated. It looks like dyes, but I don't think so. I mean, I bet you it's all watercolor. That would be my guess. Gouache, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, gouache would be a lot more of a striking kind of color that you get out of it. Again, you know, if I ever see Mike again, I'll ask him. Doc Martens are hard to work with. Yes. So I had some Doc Marten dyes back in the day, and they were impossible to blend. I mean, they were great. You know, they were striking colors, but you couldn't really work too much with them. So again, that's why this looks more like just the watercolor, and it's just applied really heavy. So, but gouache is a possibility. All right. Well, great picks, Kevin. You know, you would have been welcome back, you know, anytime, but you know, now that I know that you're going to pick a variety, and you know that might not have gotten selected before. I think that you know, that's good. I mean, that's why, you know, that's the show got better when I wasn't the only one picking our work. and I appreciate you doing these. These are great. So yeah, if you ever want
I said to myself, if I can get Roller Boogie mentioned on the CAF update, my work is done.
No, that would not. I don't think we would have seen that artwork tonight had you not picked it. So wonderful job. So let me go ahead and get my 10 picks here. Let me switch that screen over to this one. And where are you? There you go. Just get it on the right artwork here. More traditional picks from me, like always, everybody. But I try to add a smidge of variety and stuff here. Steve Lytle, don't feature his stuff often enough. This was in Bill J's collection, right? Yeah, Bill J's. This is a cover to MCP 133. Just, you know, you could draw. How many times in different ways can you draw Wolverine slashing something, you know, and leaving his marks and whatnot? You know, for me, this one was just, you know, really cool because of the lack of detail on Wolverine's character, just the stark white against black. The composition is really nice. It fills the page. It covers the logo. So I think there was a lot of thought that went into this by Lytle when he was, thinking about how he wanted the character to be positioned on the page as it worked with that, the header area. So I just thought it was a really nice piece, and just the enough detail in the face to kind of give you a little, I don't know, a little bit of his mood. But then I just enjoyed the rest of it, because so often we see things the other way around, right? You'll see just the character, like the apparel piece, right? You're just seeing the character in shadow. I mean, because it could have been reversed and it would almost be, I could see that, but I enjoy seeing it where the character's all whited out like this, and just done as a silhouette in white. And I just thought it was a really, really neat take on something that we're kind of used to seeing in different ways. But yeah, nice cover here.
Yeah, this has two things that I'm a fan of: is the photo negative look,
Mhm.
and also I've always been, ever since childhood, been a sucker for anytime they're messing with the logo on the cover, like the characters interacting with the logo.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's like Dark Phoenix grabbing the X-Man, or the Slash, yeah, this is really cool. It's almost like being oversaturated with Wolverine slashing imagery, but this is one where, like you just said, it's different. It's so different that you kind of sit up and go, "Oh, huh."
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, did he actually include the cover, the color cover? I wonder. Yeah, there you go. That's just it. The original looks so much better. But again, that's you get to see the thing cover, all the art covering up the logo. So Iron Fist did get second billing, I saw, but hey, he got in the corner box, so he did get on the cover anyway. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I do like the black and white art better.
Yeah,
But
agreed.
yeah, but very, very nicely done. And Lytle, is somebody whose work I really, really appreciate. There's definitely not enough of Lytle's work on CAF. So congrats. Let's see, to Bill J, as I mentioned earlier, and it got a few comments on there, but we can get a few more. 37 likes, 54 comments. Wow, that's that makes it a very popular piece. So congrats to Bill J, adding another great piece to his CAF. Then Tank Girl book one cover. I just thought this was cool. I hate to say I didn't read a lot of Tank Girl. I think I probably remember the movie more than I remember the comic. But man, oh man, oh man, the style of Hewitt here is just bonkers. The amount of detail in this piece. I don't even think there's a lot of his artwork on CAF, unfortunately. But to see something like this, I mean, man, he was made to draw Tank Girl, right? So just in general, I mean, is the published cover on here? Yeah, I guess here we go. Let's see, how was it treated there? Yeah, just so much detail packed into the character. I just love the image, even though I don't know much about the character, but love the art. And man,
if I had 15 picks tonight, this would have made my next tier. I'd love, I love the flowers in the border of that circle. And this fits into a category that I call comic art that would look good as a tattoo. Because this thing, if you could reproduce this exactly, that would just be such an, I mean, it's great as a piece of comic art, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying you see this on somebody's back, for example, and go like, wow, that tattoo is incredible. And then the person goes, actually, it's based on Jamie Hewlett's art. And then you see this. Yeah, I love this.
Yeah, no, it's phenomenal. I mean, the Band-Aid on her butt. I mean, everything about it is just, it's great. It's absolutely great. So, and whose CAF gallery is this? Gene Park, of course. Gene's collection just keeps getting better. I mean, he's got a great eye for pieces, and man, this is great. Just enough zipatone to make it cool. I mean, that's an interesting approach with the different zipatone. See, it's funny. Well, let me go back here. When it was smaller, when it's compressed, it didn't look. It's actually the same. But when at least on my screen, let's see if I go over to here. See, look at how it's that area there doesn't come across the same as the zipatone here. It's weird on the scan when it gets compressed like that. But you got the flowers coming out of the gun. I mean, what more can you ask for? It's great. So yeah, congrats to Gene on another wonderful addition to his CAF. Let's see. This is from Jason D'Ambrosia's Calf Gallery, the gentleman who called me from New York so I could see what a good time he was having today. Declan Shalvey. I mean, I've never owned anything by him, but I check out his stuff over on Cadence a lot. I just think he has a really nice style. I do like the kind of the tonal work that he adds to his pieces, and it's just nice to I don't know, it's different. It's a I don't know, I don't want to compare him to anybody. So at the end of the day, it's just uniquely him, and I think that he packs a lot into his illustrations. I mean, this cover is got a lot of detail into it, and yet his style isn't really like overworking the detail. He's all about kind of just filling in these things with the tonal bits that just kind of shape these things and make them have all this extra detail. But I don't know. I mean, I love this piece when I saw it. I think I first saw it posted from Jason on Facebook or something, and I didn't see it on CAF, and then I finally stumbled on it over there, and that's how I ended up picking it. But just a phenomenal cover. I love the composition on it. Yeah, I mean, what more can I say? I can't say much more about it.
Well, you touched on this is kind of a hard one to articulate, because it's one of those things where if you just showed me that, I'd go with no credit, I'd go, oh, is that Shalvey? Because you can tell it's him. But then if you said, why would you guess it's Shalvey? I'd be like, because it looks like his style. I can't articulate why, though. It's giving me mental knots.
I know. That's why I wanted to go over to Cadence's site and just kind of look at more art, and I might be able to put it into words better. But yeah, it's just he's got something about it. It's in the way he does the little things, the little details in the pieces. I think, and with the washes, it's like when you look at a Sean Gordon Murphy piece and you just know it's Sean Gordon Murphy's, right? Just he has a particular style. Same thing here with Shalvey. He's always his stuff for me is easy to pick out when I see it without even knowing what the piece is. So, but yeah, this is great. A really nice pickup for Jason.
There's almost a playfulness to it, even though it's not a playful scene at all. There's just something about his style, though, that gives everything just this kind of light feeling, and that's not a negative at all. I mean, it's just fun is maybe the word.
There's a lot of fun happening here for Deadpool and Wolverine. Let's see here. Oh, my next piece is in Aranga's Calf Gallery, who was at the table with Jason earlier. This is a Scott McDaniel piece, and it's from Electra Root of Evil. And I'm not familiar with the title. It's not one that I read, but I just really like the detailing here. Scott McDaniel, for me, I'm kind of hit or miss on his artwork, as far as loving and not really loving it, but I like the action in this, and I love the way these three panels here were kind of breaking up the overall action of the page, and then ending with this image here. I mean, I just thought it was really well constructed, and I've never quite gotten. I mean, a lot of artists had this kind of style right around this period, right? Silvestri, with these scratchy panel layouts and things, but I just really, when I saw this one, it's the way even the Bracadcoom explosion kind of wraps into the way the panel design is done. It just, just as a work of art, it's better to kind of look back over here. I was struck just by that composition, and especially then the way the two characters kind of fit themselves into the bottom of it. I've been highlighting more and more just pieces that structurally kind of break the norms of panel layout, and for me this one really did that incredibly well. And yeah, I mean, I love this piece. I'd love to have it, so congrats to Aranga for picking it up.
Like that Aparo page with the Joker, even though you don't get what you'd call a classic money shot of Elektra on here, it's still an awesome storytelling page for an Elektra story.
Yeah. Yep. No, this is man, it's great. I'm not even gonna look at the color piece. I tend to not like them anyway. But yeah, no, this is gorgeous. This was like an easy pick. This is probably one of the first pieces I confirmed in my 10, when I saw it. Next up is this piece in Michael Lovett's Calf Gallery, who has everybody knows he's got an amazing collection. This is a centerfold piece to Accent on the First D. That was the Perez sketchbook. I didn't actually look at the published spread to see how that turned out. I guess I'll have to read a little bit more about it. But I just thought this piece was just super unique. You know, you don't get to see a piece like this from Perez. You know, with tight pencils like this, and a piece where he's actually done some of the coloring on it too. I mean, that's you know, I've just never seen a piece like this from George, and I'm sure, you know, whether Michael knew about it or not. I mean, he's probably the biggest George Perez fan out there, so I can't imagine how, you know, how thrilled he was to add this to his collection. I mean, it's just, you know, it's just so unique, and for somebody who's been a longtime fan of George's work, and just, you know, George is a man, I think that Michael had to have been like over the hill, you know, happy on you know, how cool this piece is. I mean, for me, I mean, I don't know, I can't put it in the words, but when you see something processy like this, I think that you know, it just really gives you a different perspective on the creator. And, you know, George Perez was just such a darn you know, incredible illustrator, and then to have a piece like this that's out there in the market for a collector to own. Did he write a bit about it? I'm just curious the size on it. Drawn around 1977. It's on 18 by 24, and was the centerfold in the accent on the first tee. So, yeah, I don't know. What is there anything you can add to that for me?
You summed it up. I mean, who wouldn't want a Perez Avengers piece from the time he was working on the Avengers? I mean, this is
Right.
wow. I mean, I don't even know what to say, Bill. You've covered it. It's just,
yeah, and if everybody remembers, the cover to Accent on the First D is actually at the Billy Ireland Museum in Columbus. For those of you who got to go, and it was just sitting on a table. They were like, "Oh, there's art in this box," in a little, you know, like, it was almost like a box that you'd get like your Manila envelopes in. So, you know, about that tall, but big enough to fit 11 by 17s in it. And we were just thumbing through there, and there's the cover, not in a bag or anything, to that art book. I mean, it's just insane. So yeah, I mean, you know, I'm so happy for Michael,
yeah,
for adding this to his collection.
Here's my hot take of the night. That will always be the greatest Iron Man armor.
Yeah.
If they publish Iron Man for 200 more years of comics, this armor will never be topped.
I agree. I mean, this is, well, you know, that's what I grew up on too. To me, that's the best. That's the classic. I never understood all the rest of it, but I guess I'm gonna get a primer, right, when they do Armor Wars or whatever. Right? I'll understand a few things better, but who knows? Next up, this is a Ron Garney piece. Hey, Nick Perucci likes Ron Garney. I know that. This is you know, what is it? It's covered at Ghost Rider 41. It's in Sean Rutan's calf. And there's a lot of skulls on it, everybody. I kind of picked it for that because I knew you'd get a laugh out of that. But it's Ghost Rider, and you get lots of skulls on it. So just fun stuff. I mean, I'm a big fan of Ron Garney's work too. And this is just like your standard, you know, classic face-off, you know, pair of villains essentially fight, you know, going at it with each other. But I just love the piece, and you know, and I don't know. And Sean Rutan's got a nice calf gallery, and I don't feel like I've really ever highlighted any of his stuff in the past. So sometimes when I'm browsing through stuff, I'm like, oh, that's a collector whose collection I don't think I've ever talked about. So here we got something from his calf, and I like it. I mean, you know, sometimes I just have to, you know, sometimes I'm allowed to just like something and say it's got to go. So this is one of them.
Sometimes you're allowed to just look at a cover and go, like, if you're a kid and you see that, you go, oh, I want to read that.
Right, exactly. I was I don't know what site I was on earlier, but you know, Keanu Reeves said if he could be a character in the Marvel universe, he would want to be Ghost Rider. So I mean, who wouldn't want to be Ghost Rider? You know, I mean, if you grew up in the 70s, you grew up loving Evel Knievel and everything. So you get a guy on a motorcycle who's, you know, essentially part demon, and his head can turn into a skull. I mean, you know, there was always something about Ghost Rider that was always very appealing. So congrats to Sean on that one. And you know, I think about Sean and his calf gallery, and this isn't a piece that I would have ever thought he'd pick up. You know, he has a certain penchant for a lot of different things, and so a Garney Ghost Rider cover was not one that I would have thought of. So ticks that off there for Sean. Then I always like to try to pick some kind of a fine art piece myself. And so I saw this Ken Kelly painting. Ken Kelly studied with Frazetta, and so there's always going to be those feelings that there's similarities in their work. But I really felt like Ken Kelly, in his lifetime, definitely differentiated himself from Frazetta in a lot of different ways, just in his compositions or the way I felt like his colors kind of move closer to maybe like Boris's style, a little bit heavier, more kind of in that direction versus the more painterly quality of Frazetta's stuff. So I've always liked Ken Kelly's work, and we certainly don't have enough on CAF. I don't know if this was a book cover or I didn't even read. See, but this is in Tristram's CAF as well. Man, I'm gonna have to. I've already set Tristram's CAF gallery aside, so I'm gonna have to. This guy's got an amazing eye for good art. I mean, wow, I'm impressed. So yeah, the Ice Mammoth Comet. Did he write what it was? A great piece, compliment bless. Second. No, he does not say if it's published, but gosh, I might even end up reaching out to this guy. I'm very, very curious. So yeah, no, I just love it. I think that as we talked about earlier, I feel like more of this artwork needs to be on CAF. I love it. And who doesn't love a woolly mammoth, stomping through the Ice Age? I mean, it's great. I mean,
yeah. And what you said, the heaviness of it, no pun intended, talking about the mammoth, I'm talking about the art.
Mm-hmm.
Again, with no credits, I'd think Boris probably first.
Exactly.
It just has that kind of, it's tough with the adjectives when you don't want to keep reusing the same ones. But I think Boris more than Frazetta on the spectrum of this style of art for this piece. And the sky is so good as well. That sky looks fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful, wonderful piece. I am going to email this guy. I've got to learn more. And he's got wait. Okay, I have to see this. I did not know. He's got a picture of it in front of a tusk. So, so this is a very serious collector. I am going to email him.
Yeah.
Maybe I can get an interview with him. I think that would be fun.
Well,
hey, guess what? Patrick Kahanick actually just sent me an email saying that he was thanking me for featuring his art tonight. Wow, that's awesome. That's so nice.
Well, Bill, this photo that's on the screen right now, no matter what else you get from this collector, a CAF Cribs that features this is a must.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, literally. I mean, he probably won't do a CAF. Well, but you know what? If he's willing to show this,
right,
he might be open to doing a CAF Cribs. And wow, I mean, yeah, no. I mean, all right, I'm going to set this tab aside too, because that way I really won't forget to reach out to this guy. Climate change in the Ice Age, says Lyle. Yeah, this is man. I love discovering collectors. I mean, that's part of what doing these picks has really been I don't know. It's made me happier about CAF the more I've learned about the collectors on the site and their tastes, and then discovering a guy like this who's introduced me to an artist that I've never heard of, even though they have art on CAF. So that's awesome. Here, kind of switching gears here. This is a Joe Kubert. I didn't even know what war. Our Armory at War 206 from 1969. I don't know. Every time I see a Kubert, I feel like I need to feature it just because I love his storytelling. His war stuff, is to me the best. I've never owned a Kubert, but if I picked up anything, and I actually have a page set aside over at Berkey's, and I couldn't even tell you what war story it's from, but it's a war piece just because when I think of him, I just think he did such a phenomenal job, painting guys and war scenes. I mean, I look at this is just great. The last three panels there are just so well done. Even as you zoom in on that eye, I mean, it's just gorgeous. I mean, his style is just unlike any other artist. I just love the way he draws expressions on the characters. This really tight middle panel is, I'd buy it for that panel alone, right? I mean, it's just with that wind, the rain and the wind and the clouds, and then these really somber characters. It's gorgeous. I mean, no, he's just was an amazing artist. And
This would have also made my 15, Bill. This was,
Yeah.
and you know, Kubert has been lauded, rightfully so, forever. So there's not a lot to add about how great Kubert was, but what I appreciate about this page is that second panel where the tiny little figures in this massive action scene, and the very last panel, which is the close up of an eye, and he's equally good at both of those things and employs both of them to tell the story.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, all on this. Yeah. It's just this page is, it's better. It's better now than it was when I first picked it. I mean, I really love it. It makes me feel like I should set aside 2 Kubert pages to make sure I get them. But yeah, this is stunning. This is absolutely stunning. I mean, and I feel like, that it's artists like him. I know we all revere him, but I don't feel like he gets talked about a lot. So I don't know. When I stumble on a page like this, it just has to be. We have to talk about it. So I'm glad this would have been this was in your top 15 too. I mean, it's the ones you left. It happens all the time. There's always pieces that don't make it to the 10. And I'm glad this was one of those ones as well. I got 2 of them from you. So that's even better. And this is in whose calf gallery? Jean-Andre Machini. I know I've seen the name many times. I'll have to, they have their own website too. I'll have to check that out. All right. I'll leave that open for later. All right. This is a Nick Dragotta East of West 40 cover, I believe, right? Is it a cover? Is it an interior? It's a cover. And I mean, I looked at this thing and I'm thinking, the face is so symmetrical. Should I pick it? I'm thinking Patrick Nagel. I'm looking at it, and but the more I looked at it, the more I liked it because I was struck immediately because I always say I love Nagel's work, right? So when I saw the thumbnail, that was the first thing I thought, but I knew it wasn't Nagel, but I liked the take on it. I've always liked Dragotta's style because he's got a style just very, it's very unique to him. And what I liked most about this, and it's going to be really silly because the symmetry in the face. But I love the fact that like the collar's down on one side and it's not on the other. There's subtly different details on this, the cowlish thing around her head, and that was what turned it for me. I think if it was just the head, maybe the shoulders, and there wasn't really anything else, I would have been like, I can't pick this thing. But I just thought that the subtle details in the way her collar was, and then that that this is kind of broken on this side, as far as whatever this armor is, I guess, because I never read East to West, another one. I'm sorry, everybody, but yeah, so I had to pick it for that, and then just the heavy use of the Zipatone on this thing too, just was another eye-catching thing for me. I mean, so many of Felix's artists have employed Zipatone to varying degrees, but this piece is just, it's really gorgeous. So there you go. That was why I picked this one.
I have no notes. I loved East of West. Absolutely loved it. And it was almost the closest comparison I can make is like to reading American manga. That's kind of the style that he employed, at least for that title. I haven't read his new book, Ghost Cage, so I don't know if that style exactly carries over or not. But on East of West, yeah. And so just looking at this cover just reminds me of the great enjoyment I got out of that series.
So you're telling me I should read it, right? I should read it. I'll read it. It's been one of the things. I don't have a lot.
It's one of those things where you could pick up the first trade and read and just commit to the first trade, which is 6 issues, and then you'll know if it's for you. It's like a science fiction Game of Thrones almost.
Okay, cool. Well, then I think I would probably like it. But all right, this is cool. And this is in Mig's calf gallery. I mean, everybody knows Mig's has a great eye for artwork too. He's got a fantastic collection. Gosh, I haven't even been in Mig's calf gallery in a long time. I'll have to check it out. But yeah, as you can see, he's got some great stuff. Dave Cockrum, Joe Mad, Adam and Andy Kubert, X-Men pages, Paul Smith, Bill Sienkiewicz, X-Men, Frank Whiteley, X-Men, Brent Anderson, X-Men. I mean, he's making me sick. But yeah, I mean, Mig's has a really awesome collection. I mean, I've always admired him. And he's been on CAF for a long time too. 2006, I think it said. So, yeah, check out Mig's CAF gallery if you haven't looked in there in a while. And Daniel Evans said as well, Mix does have some of the best, without question. All right, last piece for me. And this one is in Alberto's calf gallery. I mean, as we know, Alberto is a big Captain America fan. And as you know, as a fan, collector, however you want to word it, but you know, Alberto's got a great eye for art, and the big supporter of like everything that we've done on here too. And I've always been, I love Nick Bradshaw's art. I mean, he's such a nice guy, and I you know, love his style. I mean, people, you know, compared him to Art Adams and everything, but I think Nick's really developed a style just uniquely his own now, even though it has similarities to lots of people, right? You could see a little bit of Golden in there, and but hey, if you're gonna kind of like, you know, end up with a style that's you know, patterned after people like Golden or Adams, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But he puts so much effort into his pieces. I mean, I love the, you know, I mean, look at all the detail in the cityscape behind the two characters, let alone, I mean, this thing is phenomenal. I mean, I didn't even look at it as much as I am right now, but it's great. I mean, holy. But I don't know. I've been a big fan of Nick's stuff for a long time. This is just great. I love the, you know, the lighter costume of, you know, you don't think of Cap with a lighter costume, but you know, you throw that dark character behind him. I just think it like frames Cap even better. I mean, I think this probably would have looked great on the newsstand, colored. You know, even a poor coloring job, this would have been an awesome looking cover. So yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, that's a good call of kind of the style that he's developed, at least at the moment, is kind of a synthesis of Art Adams and Mike Golden. And that's a pretty awesome synthesis to have if you're going to have influences. You know what I love about this piece, besides everything you named, is that girder in the lower right corner, because how easy to just draw a line, just have them be on a rooftop, and you're done. With all that other work in the backdrop, including bricks, we should shout out bricks if nobody has. But with all the work and all that detail you've done, you could just end it there on a line and just have it be a rooftop, shade it a little bit, and you're done. But to put the rivets in and to shade the girder, that's that extra little bit of love that, to me, always makes a piece pop even more than it would with just the awesome figure work.
Yep. Tim Dury also mentions, you know, a mix of Adam and McGinnis. Yeah, I can kind of see that. Yeah. You know, definitely in the jaw work, but I could say McGinnis has touches of Michael Golden too. So it's, but it's all you know, it's all cyclical there. I mean, you know, you grow up, you know, drawing when, you know, I wanted to draw like John Byrne when I was a kid. So, you know, you always kind of, you see a style, maybe you work it if you like it, and then you try to, you know, you find your own rhythm. But Nick certainly has. I mean, he's definitely got a very unique style these days. And no, I've always loved his work. He's somebody I'd love to do an interview with too. I think he would just be a lot of fun to chat with, because I met him like 2 or 3 times. He's always been like a super positive kind of person and very engaging, funny. So I should put him on my list of people who I'd love to talk with one day. Yeah, he would be fun. And yeah, this is a good one. So congrats, Alberto. I mean, your Cap collection is the best on calf, bar none. That is for sure. So let me get a like on that. Oh, I already did like that one. Okay, that was easy. So we did it, Kevin. We made it through our 20 total picks, man. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I will see you in Baltimore in a few weeks.
Oh, all right, great. I still have not made my flight arrangements or anything. I got to get on that. Everything's been so up in the air with the move. You know, at one point I was almost worried that I wasn't going to be able to do it, but I'm just kind of in a screw it mindset. I'm gonna go up to Ohio, whether or not the house sells, because their inspections are like lagging. I got a thing like they got to reinspect the water, and I'm like, you know what? I can't wait. I'm going to stick to my schedule. I'm moving my stuff out. If this person buys it, great. If it's not them, anybody else walking in the house, it's going to be very vacant looking, because I got to be done. I don't want to be moving stuff in the middle of winter. So, but yeah, I think I'm going to be flying in early on Friday, and but my guess is I'll probably not be there too much on Sunday. Maybe I might be there initially, but I'd probably like to be home before dinner time. So I figure I'll probably fly out by noon on Sunday. So So yeah, I mean, I'll be around. I mean, certainly at the Hero auction, I'm going to be helping them handle that. I don't think I'm going to be doing auctioneer stuff, but I'll be there doing something to help them make sure that it's a fun event one way or another.
Well, this will also be my first time at that con and in that city. It just
Yeah,
happens.
I've never been to Baltimore.
Yeah, it happens to be on my birthday this year, so I thought, well, why not?
Oh, that's cool. And I almost tried because Hakes wanted to take me to see Amazing Fantasy 15. They were like, "Oh, we got to do that," and I just couldn't they were like, "Can you stay on Monday?" I just can't do it. So I told them I'll probably try to make a special trip up their way when things die down a little bit for me, maybe in the spring or something, and just so I could do a day, because they were like, you got to check out Hakes, you got to check out that. And they said there's a couple really big collectors. They were like, we want to introduce you to some people so you can, we know you'd love to like walk into these people's houses and see their art. And I'm like, well, that would be like a good 2-day trip. So I'm gonna do that. But I did hear of a few collectors who are making their way over to see the Amazing Fantasy 15. I'm very envious. But I told them, take pictures, just film it, take some pictures. We'll put it on the CAF update. But all right, Kevin, well, that's awesome. I'll get to see you again. And you know what? I didn't highlight it, but where was that? Oh no, here it is. Right here.
Oh, okay.
This was you wearing a Dueling Dealers shirt in San Diego during the auction. This may be me in Baltimore, everybody. I don't know, because they haven't given me a role.
You should hope that it's not you, because the only reason I'm standing up there, you see that big TV screen behind me, they had a tech crash. So normally you'd show the art on the screen and have somebody walking it around the tables.
Mm-hmm.
This was only the version you see there. And so actually, right after this picture was taken, Mikhail and Aranga showed up at this auction. This is the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund auction at San Diego Comic-Con. And that auctioneer there at the lectern is my friend Timmy, who runs a store called Arsenal Comics in Orange County. And so this was kind of a very much thrown together, improv art auction. Yes. Hey, funny that Marcus said that, because Timmy said, "Would you be my Vanna White?"
Yeah, and that's what you got. I mean, hopefully, well, that could end up being me. They didn't
Yeah.
tell me what they wanted me to do, but the one thing I can tell everybody, I talked with Jim McLaughlin yesterday about it, and he told me that he said, because I had told him, can we get an internet connection and I'll stream it, and he told me that the hall wants like $1,000 for a wired internet connection. So he said, I don't think we're streaming it. And I said, well, that's fine. I'll film it. I'll set up a camera. I'll video record parts of it. And so we won't be live streaming the Baltimore auction, unfortunately. I was kind of hoping we could work something out like that, but it's not in the cards. So and because it's inside the facility, I think if it was outside of it, there might even be a chance, but you put it inside the hall, I know it's not going to do well. So just those of you not going, you'll be able to see it after the fact on the CAF update that following Thursday. And I think the question was answered about David was curious what one of your books was on the bookshelf, but I think somebody got him. Somebody asked, he wanted to know what was between the 75 Years of Marvel and the All-Star Superman.
That is the DC version of that 75 Years of Marvel.
There you go.
So Roy Thomas, I think, did the Marvel one, and Paul Levitz did the DC one.
Cool. All right. Oh, David found the book. All right. Good. All right, Kevin. Well, thank you so much.
Yep.
I sincerely
Thanks,
appreciate it. If you ever want to do it again, just let me know. I'd be happy to have you back on here. I mean, seriously, we could do an interview or something sometime too. I mean,
it'd be fun to be back. So I'll see you in 3 weeks ish.
Yeah.
I look forward to finally meeting Barucci as well.
Likewise, I've never met Nick.
Right, exactly.
For as much time as I've spent on screen with him, I have never met him in person. I mean, I'm seriously looking forward to that. All right. Well,
All right.
Have a great night, Kevin. Thanks again.
See you soon.
All right. Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and I am looking forward to Baltimore. But I haven't made a hotel arrangement yet or flights yet, so I really need to take care of that tomorrow. Yes, Nick is going to be in Baltimore. He had told me he's probably not going to be there on Saturday, or at least Saturday evening. So I know he's there on Friday. So if anybody wants to meet Nick in person, get his autograph, I mean, I do. You got to look him up on Friday. So I mean, definitely. I'm sure as we get closer to the show, we'll coordinate things a little bit better and make sure. See, Nick's still here, but Nick, everybody wants to meet you, so you got to let everybody know where you're going to be in Baltimore on Friday. So make sure that it's. Yep, you're going to be there on Friday. Good. Yeah, I think Nick's not there on Saturday, but Friday. All right, everybody, I'm going to call it a night. And I thought I could get done by 11, but obviously it's too much fun talking about artwork. So, thank you for everybody for sticking with me. If you haven't subscribed yet, you know the deal. Just hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button as you can on your way out the door as well. We sincerely appreciate all of those. And you will see me next on Saturday doing the Bart Sears art sale. And again, it's going to be a really interesting. I've only talked with Bart for about 10 minutes, doing a pre-interview, looking at the art he had available. But so the interview is going to be great. The art's very nice as well, and I hope that you guys can tune in for that, because it's going to be fun. And then don't forget Mike Allred on Monday night with Laura as well. So going to be a good show then as well. So have a wonderful evening. Have a happy Friday, and I'll see you again on Saturday at 2 p.m.